Sons of Thunder is a pretty cool name for a channel, though.
What's going on, everybody? Oh, I'm so sorry we're late. It is my fault we are late. So I apologize, but uh, we are doing something a little different today. So normally our live streams are usually topic based, live call available, and then we do recorded videos on the side. And from the beginning, Chase and I have always done our recorded videos kind of as if we were doing a live stream. I mean, we try to do pretty much like a one take, where we do conversational style like we would do our live streams. Well, we were not able to record our first episode of our series on Mormonism last night, and so we decided why not we should just do it live. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna go over the history of Mormonism. Chase is talking to me about how he's found a lot.
So yeah, dude, it's pretty bad for the Mormons.
What has been, well, I don't want to spoil what the biggest.
Yeah, we're not going to spoil anything. I'm looking up some sources. There's some things. Oh, maybe this is a good link to it. Okay.
Also, even though we're going to try, streamlining this to be like a recorded episode, we will still interact with comments. And
yeah.
When we put the episodes out though separately, we may cut some stuff out, but
there we go.
Oh,
I'm finding
I'm so sorry you don't. Oh, Jack is not a fan of the vertical streams.
I'm not a fan of the vertical streams either. I don't know why you were over there. I saw you because it shows us which stream layout you person is viewing from, and I saw you. I was like, Jack, come on, got to be in the right one.
I don't hate the vertical streams. I'm hoping that we get the TikTok going. I think I have like everything figured out for TikTok. I think I'm just confusing myself when it's not that complicated. But hopefully we can do some TikTok streams soon, also through StreamYard, where we can talk to people and call them up on both platforms. That would be ideal, and we can our next week we're going to have a special guest on as well before we get started. Also, a friend of the channel that we've recently gotten to know, their channel is called Between Beliefs. And they do some open dialogue with other faith groups. And recently did a video with 4 Mormon missionaries. And it was very interesting. Go check them out. But he'll be on next week. And so we'll have him as we go over some stuff on Mormon theology as well. So we'll get there. Don't worry. We'll get there.
Yeah.
How many wives? Actually, I actually don't know how many wives.
So it's debated. It's the numbers range from 38 to 49.
No shot.
I'm being dead serious. Yeah.
I actually didn't know that. He had.
Oh no, it's not just the Kirtland fraud. We're getting into all that stuff. Yeah, no need. Oh, you've come to the right YouTube viewer guy. You have come to the right place, mashallah. Inshallah, we will get into
what are the Mormon
the white
keywords
Muhammad
that you can use instead of like mashallah. What are the
Mormon?
Do they have any like fun words?
It's all English. It's all English.
Oh, yeah,
so like what do you want me to say? Like seer stone or like like occultism or like I don't know. It's just what it is. I'm trying to. I'm looking up this one quote that I found, and I found a website called Rational Faiths Keeping Mormonism Weird. So like I don't know. It's a Mormon like I think it's a Mormon website.
I'm glad that's an effort on their end to keep things weird.
I don't know. Like I'm just not sure. I think this quote is, but it's like since I'm not sure of the source, I'm not going to use that website. And the quote that I'm looking for, I already have. I'm just looking for another specific. Yeah, bro. I mean, it is pretty interesting because like Islam, Mormonism, you have Jehovah's Witnesses. They're a little bit more sneaky, but it is a bit more self-aggrandizement, right? A little bit more fleshly appeal, and they claim to come from Christianity. So the devil isn't coming up with anything new, right? He knows exactly what he's doing. He knows.
It's interesting too. You see some repeated themes in these. These. I hate to just flat out just say false religions, but I mean
it is a false religion.
I know. I'm trying to be kind to those who do. They do love Jesus, but I don't believe they understand the right Jesus.
No, I don't think that because Andrew, would you say that Muslims love Jesus?
I think they love their idea of Jesus. I don't think that they love Jesus the right way, correctly, or understand who.
How are you going to be so stringent on the Trinity and then say Muslims?
I know they know, but that's an aspect of the Trinity. I can say they don't understand God. I can just flat out say they don't understand God.
Exactly, Jack.
They don't, and I agree. I agree.
Sorry, Andrew. I don't think you have any idea how terrible what I'm about to get into is.
I think you're right. I think that I have only. I'm reading the Book of Mormon right now. I actually meant to grab it. It's upstairs, but I mean, we won't necessarily need the Book of Mormon until the Mormon theology episode.
No, we're getting into the Book of mormon today too, because it's very relevant to, because it's like Muhammad, right? He revealed things in the Quran as they were happening. So you kind of, it's like, it's part of the history. So I'm not going to get into the theology, but I am going to get into things that are historically relevant.
Would featuring Fred Durst vibes over here.
What?
Who's who?
Exactly. Hang on. Ether 10. Chapter 10.
Yes. Yeah, J-Day. This is I won't fully dox you out there, but yes. You absolutely can. It is very interesting to me, the things that you will always find in these groups that claim to come from the source material, that they always allow polygamy, right? They're always there's always one centralized individual who gets all the praise and they get special treatment, and God seems to really care about what they do, but nobody else gets the same type of things. And there are signs, there's always signs.
Fantastic. We are so happy to see that you are out of the cult of Mormonism. You can bring that here. I mean, we're very happy to see that you're out of the cult of Mormonism. Just for the record, we don't think that you're damned if you're Catholic.
Yeah,
we don't agree with the Catholic Church on everything, but I mean, as far as I'm aware, just as Romans 10:9 says, if you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you'll be saved. So, we also have a problem with trusting in works, which again, we feel that some forms of Christianity may lead to, or not forms, but denominations of Christianity may lead to more than others. But so long as a person can understand that there's nothing that they can do to get to heaven and that they trust on the Lord Jesus Christ completely and wholly, then we have no problem with whatever church you're going to, so long as you can consciously go to that church and be a growing, and be a growing Christian who becomes more like the Lord Jesus day after day. I have no problem with that in the Catholic Church. Protestantism, the whole thing was to reform the Catholic Church. Dang it, we don't want to get rid of it.
Real quick, I know you're about to get started on your
True.
Your presentation here, but I'm gonna actually go grab my Book of Mormon real quick. So I'll be right back. Guys, I'm so sorry. I feel like I'm holding up everybody. So
you're good. I gotta find some of this stuff anyways. What up, y'all? Hey, you don't mention classical theism around Chris now. Here we go. What is this guy's name? The gratitude coach. Definitely not the great attitude coach, judging by your wonderful comment. Mormons believe that Jesus is their Lord and Savior. Genius. Again, I'm not necessarily denying that you believe that, but I genuinely have a problem with, I think, the way that it's worded, applied, and the way that it actually is. I don't you guys think that Jesus is a God. He is not the God. So because Jesus is not the God, right? He can't actually atone for sins. And honestly, in Mormonism, nobody can atone for sins because they're all just created gods. So I don't know why you're being a doofus. Brody. I need to find this one.
And the real question is, as we get into the life of Joseph Smith, as we have done with Muhammad, if you guys have seen any of our past work, you know that we've done a ton of videos on the life of Muhammad, but we've also, before we did anything else on Islam, the first 2 videos that we did were with our brother Usama, and he is he's been debating Islam for 25 years now. And we specifically walked through Muhammad's life and gave a detailed understanding of his history before we did anything with Mormon theology. And so now some of those things Muslim theology, yes. Some of those things bleed together, obviously, like Chase said earlier. Like, there's going to be overlap between.
I found it.
Okay.
Sorry,
there's going to be overlap.
I'm getting excited. Well, because it's hard to find some of these primary sources, dude.
Oh, yeah. But we want to be fair to show the history of the individual first. And some of it, I just have to be honest, you have to question the individual, right? So like in my opinion, one of the best pieces of evidence against Islam is the character of Muhammad, right? I think that his character is reprehensible. And if he is morally, vile, why do you follow him? And so in the same way, while we go through the life of Joseph Smith, if there are things that we can find out that are absolutely true about him, that are morally reprehensible, it puts into question the entire system. It's not just about him as an individual.
Yes. Great. I think I have all of my sources ready.
All right.
And for any of the things, yes. Okay. So again, we have our brother saying, which Jesus is that? He said Jesus of Nazareth. Fantastic. There are plenty of atheists who believe that Jesus of Nazareth was a real dude. But again, is he Yahweh? Did he atone for your sins on the cross? What does that mean? We need some real Mormon answers. All right.
We're going to get started. Now would be a great time to say, if you haven't already, like and subscribe, share the live. You can, blast this out to get some attention so more people can come and hear about the wonderful Joseph Smith. Hear the good news of Joseph Smith.
Dude, we don't believe that you guys worship Joseph Smith here.
Let's get into it.
Yeah. But we do believe he was a horrible person. Okay. Here we go. All right. So I'm God bless you, LA Apologetics, bro.
What's going on? Hello, LA.
Very blessed. Very blessed to have you on here. This is going to be a wild ride. I hope everybody stays with me because some of these things are very, very lesser known. I feel like, there's a lot of misinformation swirling around. I feel like the Mormons have done a pretty good job of concealing their history. To be very honest with you, I think that there's a lot of there's just a lot of wishy-washy stuff that go on in the LDS church. I fully believe that 90% of everyone in the LDS church is a fairly well-meaning person who just thinks that they have the correct religion. I don't. I'm just saying that like, you know, the 10% are generally at the top, and they're generally looking to, you know, consolidate power, and they're looking to get as much as they can out of the religion. So I'm not trying to say that anybody's necessarily at fault for what Joseph Smith did, but I think you are at fault if you continue to follow this guy, because the God, are you a Mormon? I'm confused as to who this guy is, but anyways, we'll continue. So, Andrew and audience, I need you all to come with me on this journey through Mormonism. I need you guys to turn on your brains, and I need you guys to turn on your hearts. Just turn them on. Because, you know, Joseph Smith, when he first started out, he was very close and near and dear to my heart. Have you guys ever seen a very famous movie with an actor whose name is Nicolas Cage about National Treasure?
Hey, goated movie.
Fantastic
movie.
Treasure hunting is near and dear to my heart. And, well, Joseph Smith was, in fact, a treasure hunter. So open your hearts, ladies and gentlemen. Love, exactly. Fantastic. The second one was all right too. I think they made a third one, but I don't remember. Anyways, all right, let's get into it. Now, everyone, also, please do not be fooled. There is plenty of Mormon propaganda out there. They are not as bad. I will say this. They're not as bad as Muslims when it comes to lying about their sources. I feel like the only reason that is because they're like 1,200 years later than Islam. So it's a little bit more difficult
to get away with,
with taking it and just shipping it down in the trash. You know what I'm saying? It's a little bit more difficult because you literally, I mean, we have some of the autographs of Joseph Smith's writings, so it's a little bit more difficult. Dude, I'm not saying that this makes him a false prophet. Gosh, it was a common practice of the day. I really hope that if you're a Mormon that you continue listening, because
we're not. That's not the reason we don't
like. I enjoy treasure hunting. Literally, like me and my dad, we would go like rock collecting and stuff, and like arrowhead hunting and stuff like that. Like, to me, those are treasures. That's cool stuff, right? And we didn't really ever. They did try hide it is a bit much. I think what they really tried to do was suppress it. Yes, treasure hunting sends you to hell.
This is the proof.
This is
the proof.
Yes, arrowhead hunting is a fantastic pastime. We have several secret locations that have more than produced some fantastic arrowheads, and so, man, all right, sorry, we can't get sidetracked with arrowhead hunting or treasure hunting, even though Joseph Smith did for a while. All right, so let's continue. Joseph Smith. He was born in Sharon, Vermont. Metal detecting is also super dope. Yes, hang on, Tyler. We'll get there. Hang on. So, yes.
Up in the gun based.
Yeah, on the 23rd of December in 1805. I would also very much like to quote to you what an actual Mormon website said.
Do you want to share your screen?
I would be more than welcome, or I'd be more than happy to do that. This isn't inherently funny. But knowing what comes after it is very funny to me. So we'll go ahead and share my screen. Share screen. Learn. I think this is the learn more one. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Share. All right. All right. I'd like for to read this. It says Joseph Smith was born 23rd of December, 1805 in Sharon, Vermont, in the northeastern United States. He later moved with his family to the rural community of Palmyra, New York, where in 1820 a religious revival occurred. This is true. Confused by the conflicting claims of the various faiths, Joseph went to the Bible for guidance and found the challenge to ask of God for himself. Now, I don't know about you guys, but when a religious revival is occurring in my neighborhood and I go ask the Bible for myself, I start my own religion. That's like first thing that I do, start my own religion. Just start up, just get that cranking on there. Start it up, start weed eating the local population of real Christians and turning them into occultists. That's what I like to do. But anyways, I digress. So that happened. I thought that was a very funny quote. Yeah. So in 1820, when Joseph was 14 years old, in a grove near his family farm, he knelt to pray. Yeah, he knelt to pray there in a secluded place. Joseph Smith claimed to have a very dramatic revelation from God. Very dramatic, in which God and his son, Jesus Christ, appeared to him and gave him instructions. He was commanded to join none of the existing churches.
You said this was when he was 14?
He was 14. Oh, but it gets better. And was told that God would He was told that God would restore to earth the church originally organized by Jesus Christ with all of its truths and priesthood authority. Andrew, you know, I'd love to see where that priesthood authority was instituted by the Lord Jesus, other than the priesthood of the believer. But I would be very excited to see that as well, right? You know. But anyways,
yeah.
So it's funny that you should say this. You asked me. You said, Chase, this happened when he was 14 years old. It would, however, take him 12 years for him to actually write any of this stuff down. And between the years of 1822 and 1827, Joseph was an active, regular Nicolas Cage in his search for American treasures. Jack Ray, that is dope. Clovis points are one of me and my dad's dreams. They're really cool ones. They don't have bases. They're just barbs. They're really cool. They're very old. Some of the oldest in the United States. So what does it mean to be a treasure hunter back then? Andrew, are you familiar with what treasure hunters exactly would do, what they were back in the day?
I mean, I'm assuming at that point they were looking for like Native American things, right? I mean, they were. Is this like City of Gold stuff? Is this what they're looking for?
So yeah, I mean, it's kind of everything you mentioned. So it ranged from Native American artifacts to buried Spanish gold. Like the Spaniard conquistadors, right, coming through the Americas, losing their gold, burying it. And I just like to say, just for starters, why the heck Spanish conquistadors would bury gold in Palmyra, New York is well beyond me. Well beyond me. Like, I don't understand. Could you imagine, like, because the Spaniards conquered like South America, not Latin America, but Central America, and then started to encroach before, all the wars and stuff. But like, I don't really ever think the conquistadors made it all the way up to Palmyra. Maybe that's just me. So essentially what would happen is Joseph would regularly be hired by people to use folk magic to locate buried treasure. Now, Joseph was an active practitioner of folk magic. He was particularly fond of what are known as seer stones. And you could probably guess what a seer stone is, but these stones were used as spiritual mediums. They were often translucent stones through which it was believed that a person could literally see visions of words or places that would hint at the location of the buried treasure or whatever your heart desired at that moment. It's like Jack Sparrow taking out the freaking compass, it pointed where he wanted most, right? So what would happen? What would happen is he would be hired to use these things, and he would also employ folk rituals. I'm not 100% sure what that entails. I'm assuming it's got some Native American twists to it and stuff. But he would employ folk rituals, and he also believed in guardian spirits. And this was really funny to me. So these guardian spirits would mess with the treasure before it was uncovered, like, I don't know, moving it. Just right before you found it. Just right before you found it, they would move it somewhere. Just somehow, these guardian spirits had the ability to relocate buried treasure, across state lines. I don't know who gave them that jurisdiction, but I don't. Anyways, so yeah, that's what would happen.
So, oh yes, he's back, Mr. Burgundy.
Mr. Burgundy, the anchor man.
So Joseph Smith claims, as you said, that at 14 he was having this revelation, and that in that time he became a treasure hunter, and he was working through occult means to try to find treasure, but there were guardians of the treasure, and they moved it.
Yes.
They would play pranks on him, essentially.
Yeah, what they would do is I can just picture it, right? You're there, you're digging for the treasure. Some random idiot named Joseph Smith told you this is where to dig. You're digging, and then all of a sudden he's like, this is exactly the spot. And then you get to where you're supposed to go. You get to the desired depth. Nothing's there. So you go back to Joseph, and you're like, Joseph, you lied to me. There's nothing here. And I'd like for you to refund me my money. Joseph would say, not so fast. Okay. What you don't know is that an ancient Native American spirit, he probably even used the word Injun because he was racist. A Native American spirit moved it. And then what could you do at that point?
I mean, it's his word.
What do you do?
So I as you were saying it, I was putting the pieces together. I understand now that he literally is taking the stone and looking around and acting as if he knows where something is and getting somebody else to dig it up. And then when it's not there, then he claims a Native American spirit that was guarding over the treasure moved it.
Or like Spanish. From that time period, it was common to believe that like the people who buried the treasure would like summon spirits to guard it.
Those dastardly spirits, always meddling and getting in the way.
If it weren't for those dastardly spirits and their dumb dog too. Yeah, no, it was like a.
I said,
we don't need to. We're not gonna. I'm not getting sidetracked. Joseph Smith definitely was racist, but we'll leave that there. I didn't want to put that in this video, because I didn't think it was super profitable to argue about. But I wanted to get to more concrete things. But he did believe in those kinds of things, and so I can. So what you said about the seer stones, that they would take the stones, and he would kind of look at it. What he would do is he would take a hat, and I described this a little bit later, but he would take a hat and he would put the seer stone into the hat. And then he would take the hat and he would cover his face so that the hat covered his entire face, and that all he could see was the stone. It blocked out all the light. So that way all he could see was the stone, and the stone would sort of the stone would manifest, right, some kind of image or vision or something like that. And all of these people were completely insane, and none of them actually received any visions, and it was all fake, unless of course they may have actually received visions, in which case it was demonic. But I can guarantee you that 90% of those people didn't see anything, and that they were just making it all up. So
how's it going, Kevin? Hello.
Transport.
Yeah. So okay. So we're I know you're probably about to get to it, but wasn't he claiming that the tablets were in Egyptian hieroglyphics?
Yeah. So he.
Which that's later down the line. That's later.
Yeah, we're getting there, and not that specifically. Then leave. You don't have to watch us. Yes, Reformed Egyptian. He's right. Here's so we'll get there. But when Joseph was 17, he claimed that the angel Moroni had visited him, and Moroni revealed that Joseph had been chosen to translate the Book of Mormon. This was a book that was written around the 4th century AD, and named after Moroni's father, Mormon. Now, who is Moroni? Well, Moroni was an ancient prophet who lived in the Americas during the late 4th and early 5th centuries AD. Made up, complete bogus. There was no prophets in the Americas. You might stop me there and you say, Chase, we got a little bit of a conflict here. You said that Moroni was an angel, and now you're saying he was a prophet 1,600 years ago. Well, you would be right in both accounts. So he was a prophet who was then, he hadn't developed polytheism yet. He was a prophet who then died, but was physically resurrected and subsequently made to be a messenger of God. So he wasn't an angel in like the divine sense. Like he wasn't a heavenly being, but he was an angel, like he was a messenger. Indeed. But apparently he's also able to move in and out of heaven and earth. So he's given some sort of like spiritual powers or something. I don't know. But according to Moroni, this book, the Book of Mormon, contained information about the ancient Americas. And Moroni told him that it was inscribed on golden plates near Palmyra, New York, which was very conveniently located very close to where Smith lived at this time. And then in that same year, in 1827, I believe it was the same year, he married his first wife, Emma Hale Smith, like I said, in 1827. Although I know, Jack. Although apparently the plates were first revealed to him on September 22nd, 1823. If you're thinking, Chase, I thought you said he was an active treasure hunter during 1822 to 1827, you'd be exactly correct. And why he didn't just go grab the plates and sell them is another good question. But he was not allowed to get them. Mac Moroni.
Mac Moroni, jeez.
He was not allowed to get the golden plates until September of 1827. And then the book was the Book of Mormon was swiftly translated and published in the year 1830. Now, not a lot of people know about this. Alongside the plates that Joseph found, he found 2 stones, which he called Urim and Thummim. Are you familiar with what the Urim and Thummim are in the Bible, Andrew?
I'm actually not.
Oh, so okay. So yeah, that's fine. So the Urim and Thummim were part of kind of the priestly garments, and they were used to cast lots for the Lord's sake.
I don't think I knew the names, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So yes. So he found these 2 stones, and he called Urim and Thummim. Now, for those of you who do know, those rocks were actually used in the Old Testament to discern the Lord's will by means of casting lots, in which it would result in a yes or no answer. Joseph Smith claimed that they were seer stones and used them to translate the golden plates.
Not too different from some of the times that Muhammad combined biblical stories and just cut out the waste. Why should we have a story about Saul and Gideon if you could just merge those 2 together? And if you can just put them together, you save waste. So he took something from the Old Testament, and he was like, I think that's a dumb reason for that thing to exist. Or he just didn't know what it was. And he just used a name that he thought sounded cool.
Yeah. So again, like I don't understand. That would be like me finding a walking stick and calling it the staff of Moses, and then whittling it into a spear and killing my enemies with it. Like, okay, wait a minute. That's not what the staff was used for. Like, I get the walking stick thing. So like, he found these rocks, and found the rocks. And he was like, oh, okay, great. This is for, and I guess apparently the rocks were the only tangible part of the discovery that he could actually show to other people. He was completely unable to show the golden plates to anyone, mostly because they didn't exist, but also because God said that, he was the only one who was allowed to translate it and all these things. So if you're wondering, Joseph Smith didn't actually know Reformed Egyptian, the language that it was supposedly written on. In fact, according to eyewitnesses such as his wife Emma and Oliver Cowdery, who was one of his scribes, he quote, he very rarely, if ever, looked at the golden plates while translating them.
Okay, because he knew it so well, Chase. He was studying it every day and night, obviously. But
by rarely ever looking at it.
Hey, look here, buddy. We got the testimony of the 3 witnesses and the testimony of the 8 witnesses that these things were real. Okay. Amen. It's in the Book of Mormon. So
Mashallah.
First of all, check
You're
yourself.
Right. But so like I told you earlier, what Joseph would do is during his translation process of the Book of Mormon, he would take his rock and he would place it in his hat, and he would put the rock over his hat, or put the hat over his head, and then he would just start dictating what he saw, the seer stone say, right? What the words were. So instead of actually having to translate it, he just read what the rock told him to read. Now, Andrew, you may be thinking to yourself, what the heck are you talking about, Chase? I would concur to you that I have no idea. But I can, however, say that I have no problem with the Lord, communicating a different language with someone. I have no problem with the Lord using physical means to communicate with mankind. I do have a problem with fake prophets who put rocks in their faces and make crap up, right? I do have a problem with that. And there's no evidence of these plates, Andrew. There's no evidence of a language called Reformed Egyptian. There's no evidence of it ever being in America. Like, there's no evidence of any of this stuff. But inshallah, we will continue and take his word for it. Oh yes, here I have another quote that I would very much like to read for you all. Here on our favorite LDS website.
It's so funny as I'm trying to like look some of this stuff up as you say it. Have you noticed that since they've added the AI functionality to like the different search criterias, you're only going to find pro
Mormon,
pro Muslim. Like I have
aware.
struggled trying to find information online because it's always biased. I'm always finding biased information. I'm like, I need critics to give me their opinions. I'm looking for skeptical information here.
Where is the stones at? Oh, I think I accidentally clicked away from it. Hang on. There we go. There we go. All right. I would like to read this to you, and please do not laugh while I'm reading it, or else I will consider you an anti-Mormonite. It says, in Joseph Smith's day, some individuals claimed that they had a gift to see or receive divine or supernatural messages through seer stones. These beliefs came from the Bible and from European cultural traditions brought to early America by immigrants. Joseph Smith and his family accepted these beliefs, and Joseph occasionally used stones he located in the ground to help neighbors find missing objects or search for buried treasure. So no reason to laugh. What are you smiling at, Andrew? What could possibly be so funny about what you just read? Was it this part?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure.
Was it the part about these beliefs coming? Yeah, I hope so. Was it the part where these beliefs came from the Bible?
Yeah.
Was that the funny part?
I mean, it's Andrew? Pretty humorous. I'm not sure where they're getting that one from.
That's because it's not in the Bible. What they'll quote for you is they'll say, well, in Numbers and in 1 Samuel, they use the Urim and the Thummim to discern God's will. And you say, yeah, but they didn't look at them to translate golden plates.
Hold on, Chase. I gotta hold on. Can I share my screen real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
I need you to see this. This is what I'm talking about. So for everybody, hold on. Before I even pull it up, I just want to say this right now. I just said, when you look things up, if the AI knows that what you're asking is specific to a specific religion, it's not going to give you critical information. It's going to give you biased information. All I typed into the chat, and this is Bing. It's stupid. So it's a Copilot search, but seer stones in the Bible. That's what I typed in. Look at this garbage.
You get it.
There we go.
There you go.
Seer stones in the Bible were sacred objects used by prophets and religious figures to receive divine guidance and revelation, with a picture of Joseph Smith looking into the hat and reciting the Book of Mormon.
Again, yeah.
And it is legitimately, it's Mormon theology. It's not actually it's not no, there are no seer stones in the Bible. It's giving me Mormon theology.
You're welcome, Andrew. Well, what else could you have possibly wanted, Andrew?
You're so right. What else could I have possibly wanted?
Anyways, this part also made me laugh. Right. European cultural tradition. I feel like this part of the sentence is doing a lot of the heavy lifting of where these beliefs came from. But also I like how it says it's so subtly misleading, because it says these beliefs came from the Bible, and what did Joseph and his family do? They humbly accepted these very biblical practices. Would you like for me to do it like our president would? Joseph Smith Father Smith and Mother Smith, the greatest smiths ever to live. These smiths, what they did, they used the seer stone, and they were from the Bible. They accepted these seer stones humbly and lovingly, and they did it in a way, the greatest way, the best way ever done by human beings. Only I could have done it better, but I wasn't there.
They have a seer stone. I have a seer stone. I've seen the golden plates. I'm the ninth witness.
I've seen Joseph stones in both ways. They're weird.
Not in the Zutstons.
Not in, well, I don't know that I can disclose that on public television. Anyways.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Anyways. And then I like this last sentence here. Joseph occasionally used stones he located in the ground. It's a good thing he found them there. I would be really concerned if he found the stones in the sky.
Stone. Just any stone.
He didn't. Right. He didn't just pick the stones growing off the trees. He used the grounded stones because he was a very grounded individual, as we know, to help neighbors find missing objects or search for buried treasure. See, the Mormons, like I said, with the Muslims, they don't deny it. He was straight up a treasure hunter. They acknowledge it, which is good. Anyways, I digress. All right. Continuing. Our lovely passage, the greatest passage on Mormonism. Anyways. Yeah. These beliefs came from the Bible. Didn't you know?
Well, I mean, I'm kind of convinced. That's some great proof right there. Jack has also found that AI also says seer stones not in the Bible. Can confirm AI says seer stones are in the Bible. AI also says seer stones are not in the Bible. So love that. Love that.
I did not know this
AI hellscape.
I did not know this, but our last comment, he says at least one of Joseph Smith's seeing stones was given to him by a famous occultist fortune teller woman. Did not know that. So that is a learned information for me.
Well, but it's so interesting because as I've been reading, so I read Kabbalah, I read the Essential Kabbalah, and I just finished that, and I'm like almost finished with all the Gnostic Gospels. And though I don't think he had any access to Gnostic works, obviously because we hadn't found some of them yet, and I don't think that he had much understanding of Kabbalah, there are some very, very similar views to Mormonism. And it's just one of those things where you're like, okay, so it just, these things just keep repeating, right? Like they come around. All of these false religions, they share these same satanic ideology. So wow.
What an absolute lame-o.
Wow, what way to be a good dad. Jeez, jerk.
Rather you be a good subscriber to Sons of Thunder. Anyways, Frozen
will be there. This live stream won't.
Exactly. Where do you think Broadway's going, huh?
As Queso would say.
Yeah. No, but so very interestingly enough, once he became a more popular religious leader, he quit using seer stones. Almost as if he were to trying to hide his occultism.
That I want to actually look into it because some of the stuff in Kabbalah is like straight up, like they do believe in the pre-existent souls, and there are some very interesting connections I was noticing as I was reading it. I do kind of want to do a deeper look into that. I might spend some time this week doing that.
Yeah, well, whoever that is, it appears that they are in Utah, so they're in the front lines.
Sad. Anyways.
Yes, so he kind of abandoned using seer stones when he, got more popular.
Is there any note of anyone questioning why he no longer used the seer stones?
I didn't really look into that. I was more taken up with the fact that he is documented as having used seer stones. But I wasn't super, But I'm sure some people were like, "Hey man, what happened to those rocks?" Anyways, not only this, but Andrew, did you know that Joseph Smith also claimed that John the Baptist visited him during his translation of the Book of Mormon and commanded him to restore the church by preaching the true gospel? And not only that,
he did. No, he did not.
yeah, he claimed that. Not only did he claim that, but I'm like 90% sure that he.
Well, hold on. No, he did not, bro. Wait, hold on. Oh, this is so
I'm like
funny.
90% sure. Yeah, he also he also claimed to have been visited by Peter, James, and John.
Okay, well that's less funny but hold on.
Yeah. Shortly before the visit from Peter, James, and John, Smith claimed that the resurrected John the Baptist appeared to restore the Aaronic priesthood. What?
No,
I did not know that. I did not know that part.
So hold on. Elisa, if you want to be our mod, courtesy of LA Apologetics, we would love to have you on as a mod. So yeah. Utah Spice just had this comment about studying the Zohar and Kabbalah, and the similarities are too hard to ignore. She's not wrong. Once you said that, that's crazy you said that, actually. Look, hold on. Let me show you my screen. So the founder of Kabbalah, supposedly, Rabbi Isaac Luria, so he was a Jewish. Oh, hold on, not him. There was a different. They link it to a much older rabbi. He claims in a cave. Oh, he claims in a cave that Elijah visited him and revealed the truths of the Zohar and told him to write it down.
What's wrong?
And Elijah, John the Baptist, comes in the spirit of Elijah. And obviously the Jewish, why is it always in caves? Yeah, literally. Obviously, to this Jewish rabbi who would reject John the Baptist, he would be visited by Elijah. But isn't it so interesting that someone who doesn't reject the New Testament was visited by John the Baptist? That's so interesting. I'm probably making a mountain out of a molehill, but that's just weird. That's just one of those weird things. That's like,
yeah, I apparently, and I didn't look into this all that much, but apparently he appeared to him that the resurrected John the Baptist appeared to restore the Aaronic priesthood. I'm assuming to Joseph that he appeared for. Not only that, but also there are very close ties between Mormonism and Masonry, but I did not look into that as much.
Bro, I need to make a list.
Like Freemasonry. Hang on.
Oh yeah. How did he know what he was saying if he didn't know Hebrew?
The connection between Mormonism and Freemasonry is deeply rooted in the 1840s Nauvoo period, where Joseph Smith and many early members became Masons.
Say many of the Freemasons or many of the Mormons became Freemasons,
including Joseph Smith. Hang on, I didn't know that. Hang on. Smith incorporated similar symbolic elements, gestures, and thematic structures from Masonic. Nah, that's crazy. Man, I got so much of the history and I just missed all of this, apparently.
Do you know what? I mean, you know what makes sense, too? When reading the Essential Kabbalah, the only thing I ever took away from it was this is the greatest grift of all time. I mean, they're stealing from everything. It makes so much sense because Joseph Smith is stole from everything else, too. He was just
that's
stealing.
Wild.
And he took occultic practices, claimed the Bible for some reason, but lied about what was in it, was just and snatched Masonic beliefs. Could he have had access to the Kabbalah?
I mean, I definitely heard this. I guess I really should have looked into it. Man, I had very little time to look into this. I really wish I would have. You guys don't understand though. I have like 13 pages of notes on Joseph Smith. So I guess I'm just gonna have to add masonry to it. Anyways,
I have to.
I am gonna have to. We'd be more than happy to mod LA apologetics as well.
Guys, anybody who wants to,
yeah, you just let
if you
day
want,
ones.
if we can trust you, we believe we can trust you guys. We do. So you guys, you're already on the list of trustworthy people we'd trust to be a mod.
He definitely had access to Zohar. Yeah, so Dallas makes a good point. Also, wow, that is a nice cow skull.
Just a what?
This is actually true.
Just a warder. Sorry. I read it back.
No, it's actually true. He did say that. We will get to that later. We will get to that later. Here, I need my notes back. All right.
Sorry.
So, John the Baptist visited Brody, and then yeah, dude, we got the Sons of Thunder draft going on here for the for the mods. Yeah, bro,
you guys are awesome.
Johan is back. What is up?
How's it going,
Habib? All right, so back to the future. In 1831, the LDS Church moved to Kirtland, Ohio, and this is where things get interesting. So, Joseph Smith, after moving the church to Kirtland, Ohio, he began. Well, okay, before I get started, the church was officially declared on April 6th, 1830. Is when the LDS Church officially became its thing, and that's also when the Book of Mormon was, published. Yeah, but just for myself, I had to figure it out. Yeah. Anyways, so in 1831, the church moved to Kirtland, Ohio, and then began establishing an outpost in, you guessed it, Independence, Missouri, where Joseph planned on moving his headquarters to.
No, we are not.
We are absolutely not LDS.
Unfortunately, we are. I guess you could say exposing Joseph Smith more than we are venerating Joseph Smith.
I'd prefer Joseph Smith not expose himself anywhere around here, but that's for sure. Yes, no LSD here for sure. Now, things take a little bit of a turn for the worse in Independence. The Mormons were violently expelled from Independence in 1838. This kind of kicked off the Mormon-Missourian Wars. And this happened for religious and political reasons. Now, Chat and Andrew, I need your help. So let's say you lived in Independence, Missouri, and all of a sudden, here comes a group of like a couple thousand cultists into your town, strolling up. Now, your town at this point probably only has a couple thousand people in it. And you see these guys rolling up with their cult leader. And not only that, but he claims that a bunch of land around the town is actually the church's.
Wait. He just claimed that land?
So essentially what happened was he goes there and he has a vision, and he says that this land, like he mapped out a portion of the land. He said, this is going to be the temple of Zion in the last days. Okay. Now, it wouldn't be so bad if he didn't then try to acquire that land, because then he attempted to get the land. And they weren't really having that, right? They kind of saw the Mormons as trying to take over their town, and then now they're trying to take their land. Man, Christine, I would very much like to you just please please continue to watch this stream, and you will be able to see.
Or feel free to start from about the 15-minute mark.
Yeah, we're really getting into it now.
Watch to catch up. Yeah, we're going now, but.
Oh, thanks, LA, bro. You know what?
Yes,
that's all you had to say. That's, man. Don't take away the heavenly crown from me now. Come on.
A wise word from one of our newest mods. Joseph, not a prophet. And also, please, thank you.
But yeah,
thank you,
so you know, there's a sense of political unrest, right, in this town, and the Christians in the town and even the secular people, we wish the best for you, Christine, and that means coming to the Lord Jesus and being saved. Romans 10:9 says, if you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, then you'll be saved, right? You don't need any new prophets, right? Book of the book of the Bible makes it very clear that we're not going to see any more for a little while, and so we wish that you would come to a saving knowledge of Jesus. But I digress.
Amen.
There were these people in the town, and they're like, I don't really know if this is great. I don't think we should maybe have these people around anymore. They seem to be pretty belligerent. They're not wanting to cooperate, and so things get a little violent. There were a couple of battles that happened, and unfortunately, the Mormons were then ousted from Independence, Missouri. Yeah. So, fast forward a little while. Joseph Smith then apparently received a revelation from God in 1834 whilst he was still in Kirtland, Ohio. So remember remember they were in Independence. So that happened. Sorry. In 1831, they moved to Kirtland, right? They start establishing a place in Independence. They were violently expelled. When was the first time? Because I think I have an error in my notes here. They were expelled before. So
some of the reasons they were being expelled was literally because they were just trying to steal land and claim it was theirs for religious purposes.
Yeah, 1833, sorry. Mormons were first expelled from Independence in Jackson County, Missouri in 1833 following increasing tensions and mob violence. So that was in 1833. And then they were officially driven out in 1838. But regardless, I will change my notes up real quick. In 1833. So they were expelled in 1833. Everybody kind of moves back on up to Kirtland, Ohio. And then Smith in 1834 receives a revelation from God to go and reclaim Independence, Missouri.
They're going to go reclaim the Holy Land?
They're going to go reclaim the Holy Land.
There was an American crusade?
Essentially. And it constituted of Joseph Smith, 200 dudes, and like some men and women. Or some women and children.
Hey, based, trad-pilled Joseph Smith.
Shut up, bro. Shut up. No, we do not want him in our state. Get him out. Anyways, so yeah. Literally, Jackeray is correct. A crusade of rowdy idiots, essentially. A number of women and children who volunteered to join the march also came along with his 200 men in the march that came to be known as Zion's Camp. Now, the march proved utterly unsuccessful at negotiating a return of Mormons to Missouri, and Joseph opted to disband. Now, this is props to him. He opted to disband Zion's Camp rather than try and reclaim independence by force. There were some people in his group who were like, this is our land. We need to take it back by force. Which, I mean, if we're being honest here, if these are the kind of people that the Missourians were dealing with, I completely understand why they kicked him out. Now, Andrew, not only was Zion's Camp unsuccessful at reclaiming Independence, Missouri, but just the sugar on top, and this is the sugar on top that should have absolutely just disproven Joseph Smith forever and always was that on the march, a bunch of them contracted cholera and 14 people died.
All right. That's crazy.
God literally organized these people to go and reclaim the land. A bunch of them got cholera and 14 people died. No, 14, only 14 on the march. I'm assuming, I don't know about how many people died afterward due to their cholera or due to any sort of illness, but 14 people died while they were marching. So that was, so yeah. Now, is it funny that those people died? Absolutely not. But I do think it's hilarious how apparently God revealed that they have to take this land back. They go try and take it back, and then 14 people die without them ever having even stepped foot in the land. So it's like, anyway.
Do you think there are two significant moments from what I already know from this moment, and then from what I already know about Joseph? So if they had been successful in reclaiming, I thought that was wine for a second. I didn't see that it was
sweet tea.
Yeah, I didn't see how dark it was at first. I did like it looked very translucent red for a second. I was like, you just sipping some wine, like Ash that one time he came on.
Yeah. Honestly, based.
So if they had been successful in reclaiming independence, and then if that was the perfect screen lag, anyways. If Joseph had won his presidential bid, which I know we're getting there, do you think he would have just become the next Muhammad?
Yeah, probably. So, well, we are getting there, but one of the things that Joseph Smith literally campaigned on was giving his church whatever he wanted. So, like, he literally campaigned on the fact that he was going to, like, take, Missouri back and all that stuff. But, yeah, imagine Muhammad being against Trump, nuke. Anyways, imagine Missourians being against Muhammad. I wish we would have treated Muhammad like we did Joseph Smith, man. Like, get that guy out of here. But anyways, so here we go.
Some people in Mecca wanted to fight back. Yeah. Joseph just didn't have a big enough army.
No, he didn't. But anyways, so here we go. So, 14 people died. Now, we fast forward to 1838. This is while they still were occupied in Kirtland, Ohio, and a crazy financial scandal bombed the LDS Church. Andrew, have you heard anything about this?
Is this when he gets arrested and a bunch of people leave?
So he doesn't get arrested.
Okay, so that's later. So then no, I'm not sure I don't know about this one then.
So this is interesting. The reason he doesn't get arrested is because he ran away, but he doesn't get arrested. He was definitely going to get arrested. So now, Andrew, as it happens, Joseph Smith and other Mormon leaders ran into the problem of having so much money tied up in land that they were unable to pay back loans that they had accrued buying up said land and building a temple in Kirtland, Ohio. Well, what do you do in this situation? Dave Ramsey would tell you to live off ramen, drink tap water, and work, 60 hours a week.
Yeah, that's just stupid.
Well, why would you do that when you can just establish your own bank? So that's what they did. Andrew, I'm being dead serious. They established their own bank. They called it the Kirtland Safety Society. Now, initially, it was supposed to be an official bank of the state of Ohio. However, the state of Ohio denied their request for a bank charter-based state of Ohio. So they were unable to legitimately operate as a banking institution in the state of Ohio. What did you
call it? It was the Kirtland what?
Kirtland, Kirtland Safety Society. No, there's no reason to look it up, Andrew. I have all the information you could ever possibly want.
Oh, I trust you. I just like to have it up on the screen.
I promise you. I have quotes. I have everything. You all are more than welcome to look all this stuff up. It was initially supposed to be a bank. Their charter was rejected, so instead they formed what's called a quasi-bank, which is somewhat illegal.
Okay.
Not super explicitly illegal though. Now, this bank wasn't an actual bank, it was a joint stock company. Now, if you guys are unfamiliar with how a joint stock company works, essentially what happens is a company goes public, and what they do while going public is they say, hey, we have this many shares, and we're going to price each share at this much, and when we go public, we're going to start selling shares for this much. And when you go public like that, people buy your shares, which means that they give you money for essentially ownership of the company. And they get, oftentimes, well, I say oftentimes, it's not as common anymore, but they would usually get like a part of the returns, right? They would get some of the money that was made. Nowadays it's less common. It's more about gambling with stocks and stuff like that, which is fine. But that's what it means to go public. So the Kirtland Safety Society went public. Now, Andrew, if you were to guess, how much do you think they valued their stock company at? Mind you, this is in the 1830s, and it is 1834 is when this happened. Or 1838, sorry.
So in 1838, how much do I think they valued
it was
their stock company?
34 or 5. I think it's, man, I didn't put the date in my notes. How much do you think that they would value their joint stock company at? Because remember, this joint stock, like, it's not producing anything, it's not doing anything. They just want it to be a quote unquote bank. So how much do you think that they priced it?
I think I have heard about this. I'm gonna say, was it $5 million? It
was $4 million.
$4 million.
Would you like to know?
Time. That's crazy.
Would you like to know how much money was in all the banks of Ohio in 1838?
I'm gonna assume it's like $4 million.
About 9.3. So they claimed to have half of the wealth of the state of Ohio.
Okay.
Now, I don't know why they started out this big, right? But they did. So, essentially, what they did was they claimed that they had 80,000 shares, and this is completely like, they didn't claim this, but they claimed that they had this much money because they claimed that much money because they had 80,000 stocks or 80,000 shares worth $50 a share. If you priced all out, $4 million. Bingo, bango, bongo. $50 a share. And that's actually fairly cheap. Around the time, stocks were anywhere from $100 to $200 usually. Well, who do you think he actually sold the shares to?
The church itself.
The church, right?
Yeah.
So
of course.
They're not.
Of course.
There wasn't even, like, they didn't even end up selling all of their shares. And not only that, but they priced it at $50 a share. Would you like to know how much, on average, investors spent on each share?
I'm gonna guess like $10.
Andrew, they paid 26.5 cents
for a $50 share.
For a $50 share.
Oh, that's crazy.
26. It's actually 26.25 per share. But that was how much that they actually sold these for. I'm being dead serious with you. I don't even know where this was going. It is
so illegal. Oh,
well, technically, gosh. I mean, it's not so that depends. So, like, you could say, like, let's say if you're making your company go public, you can choose to keep shares. You can choose to, like, you can choose all that stuff. I'm not saying that you can't choose to sell shares at a different, but what I am saying, right, is that it's a bit unethical to claim.
Okay, yes, maybe not illegal, but if you're claiming that your shares are $50, but
And you're
insiders get the special discount of almost 100% off.
Yes.
But they're getting the value of a $50 share.
Apparently. Now nobody's going to buy a share for $50.
I mean, yeah.
So they essentially like it. Is it really all that consequential? No, I just thought it was really stupid. Anyways, so now here's another very funny part of this whole transaction.
Do
you know how much they actually paid and how much, I kid you not, they would just say, hey, I'm going to give the bank what my land is worth. So some of the stocks they didn't even pay for. They just said, hey, my land is worth this much. So that's how much money I'm going to put in to the stock company.
Okay.
So
yeah, that's fine.
The best part is that it became this is all just leading up to this one event that I'm trying to get to that is very illegal. Because they then began to print their own money.
Fantastic.
Now, Andrew, if you're unaware, it is illegal to print your own currency in the United States. And at that time, it was also still illegal to print your own currency in the United States. They were printing banknotes illegally and distributing it to their followers, as one does, indeed. As you do. You open a fake bank, don't receive a charter, and then start printing your own money. It would have been completely fine had they received a charter from the state of Ohio, but they didn't. So then they just started printing their own money. Not legal. Yeah, the U.S. government did not take very kindly whenever other people did that. So what I'm saying is that it's very simple, and what they broke the law, right? Joseph Smith and his apostle, his church leadership broke the law. They started an illegal bank, started printing their own money, and then said they had more money than they actually did, and then still couldn't pay back their loans. They were then legally pursued by a fella named Samuel Rounds because of their printing of bills illegally. In the end, it was found out that the money the bank had was mostly tied up in land and not silver, like the investors were led to believe.
It's low key. That's kind of in a weird way for that time period. That's essentially like having your money in crypto, because you're on a sliding scale, a volatilely sliding scale of like your land is only valued at what what the a supposed market claims it to be.
I'm gonna show you. I'm not just making this up. Here's my screen. Oh, sorry. Stop share screen. Investors share. Were investors led to believe that the Kirtland Safety Society had silver? Yes, investors and the public were led to believe that the KSS was backed by significant hard money, including silver, though in reality it was severely undercapitalized and heavily reliant on volatile land assets. To create confidence, stories circulated that company officers displayed boxes filled with sand and iron topped with silver coins to simulate full treasury. Now, that part is not confirmed. I don't know if they actually did that. I did look into that a little bit. But yeah, accounts from the period suggest that to inspire confidence in their paper money, boxes meant to look like they contained gold and silver were placed in the vault, with stories later arising that these boxes were largely filled with sand or lead, having only a top layer of silver coin. This is what I'd like to get to. The bank was designed to be backed by land holdings, and whatever silver and gold coin could be acquired, but they didn't quite have a whole lot of it. Now, people in the LDS Church will say, yeah, but Chase, look, it was a very economically unstable time in the United States history, and Joseph Smith really just wanted to do a good thing, and he really just wanted to bring some economic stability to his church and to the people in Kirtland, Ohio. That would be great if you'd done it legally. Like, it would have been significantly less awkward if you invested in the Kirtland Safety Society had they not started printing their own money, right? Had they actually received an Ohio charter to be a bank, right? I mean, how?
I mean, it literally is. It's just illegal. I mean, it's that reminds me of like a modern day example is those like rug pull. What were they called? They were all the craze like 5 years ago. They were those tokens. They weren't real.
Oh, Dogecoin?
Well, like digital art that you would get.
Oh,
NFTs.
NFTs.
It was like a rug pull on an NFT. Like you're claiming it has some type of physical backing in the sense of there are limited numbers of these certified digital copies of this item. And then you blow up the value of it, but in reality, there's no actual backing to what this is, and the whole infrastructure crumbles, and people lose out on so much money. Like in that time period, when the closest thing you'd have to that, when it comes to like a volatile market, would be land. But it's the same concept as what people are doing today with digital currencies, NFTs. It's the same thing, and people do go to jail for this. Like it's happened a lot that people go to jail when they lie about the value of the item that they're selling investment on.
Yeah, and one of the things about the 1830s is that the value of land fluctuated quite dramatically from year to year.
Right.
There were times when land was worth pennies on the dollar compared to other years. And so it was very hard to pinpoint how much your land was actually worth. And not all land was the same. Like, so, it's a kind of a vicious cycle. So I'm assuming what they were trying to do was they were trying to start printing banknotes so that they could then use their banknotes to pay back the loans that they accrued, and completely ruin the economy of that land, which thank God it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Even though honestly, the economy of the land did suck, it wasn't mostly due to the Kirtland Safety Society.
Listen, shout out to Joseph Smith, because I'm surprised Muhammad didn't have a similar idea.
Yeah, the Mecca Safety Society,
the first bank of Mecca. It prints out. They mint coins with Muhammad's face on them. Oh wait, no, it couldn't be.
It would have to be the Men of All Zoots. Never mind. Anyways, so yes. Now here's the thing. Here's the thing, Andrew.
Ain't no way.
Now they opened the quasi bank, but the bank ended up closing just months after opening and ended up $100,000 in debt.
Man.
Now, wouldn't you know it, Joseph Smith attempted to distance himself from the operation, right, before things went super south. According to his own bank ledger, he transferred all of his holdings to Oliver Granger and Jay Carter in July, which was like a couple months before everything just completely collapsed. So he literally...
You had Fall Guys?
He had Fall Guys.
Oh my gosh.
Now, Andrew, one of his
knew
apostles...
it was going under.
I forget what this apostle's name is, and I didn't look it up. Shame on me. But one of his apostles had this to say after the scandal. And I quote, "There were not 20 persons on earth that would declare that Joseph Smith was a prophet of God." After the Kirtland Safety Society debacle, shall we say. Let me go ahead and verify that this is an actual quote. You continue.
Is this what leads to him getting like hunted down?
No, well, no.
There was another significant financial event that led him to get
not financial event necessarily. The other event that happens is worse.
Great. Great. This is good. This is good. You know, this is a good thing for me to have in the back of my pocket the next time someone tells me that Joseph Smith died for his faith.
Well, actually, Joseph Smith was quite the escape artist. Refers to a moment of extreme turmoil during the banking crisis, 1837. Who was the quote by? While likely an exaggeration or limited to specific leadership, some scholars indicate it reflects bad fruit.
Seems like significantly it's a get-rich-quick scheme.
Yeah.
You know, if he had gone to Aleister Crowley's class on making a religion, like building a cult,
it doesn't say.
It might have moved a little bit more in silence. You know, he might not have made some loud moves.
My fault. So apparently, there was not a person who said that, but it was a quote of, what did Google say? A moment of extreme turmoil in early Mormonism, likely during the Kirtland Bank crisis. So, all right. Do not take this as fact. This may not actually be a quote. I don't remember where I found this from. I just put it in my notes. So, but I think it was very reflective of the fact that he literally stole people's money and then ended up losing it all anyways. So that happened. And after that happened, he then ran away to Clay County, Missouri in order to escape having to stand trial for his actions. So again, he ran away because he was going to be arrested and put up for trial. But so Oliver Granger and Jay Carter had to deal with the fallout, in which they accrued $100,000 in debt. And I think there's like some $30,000 worth of like legal fees and stuff that they had to deal with. For a church that was, very poor at the time, that was probably a pretty big financial blow. All right, onward and upward. So then he ran away to Clay County, Missouri in 1837 in order to escape having to stand trial, and he set up in Far West, Missouri in March of 1838.
Dude.
But what's up?
Dude, $100,000 back then is equivalent in purchasing power to about $3,752,420
in my today. Gosh.
So that is a significant amount of money.
Imagine being $3 million in debt because you made up a cult.
Oh,
I mean, I don't know. This guy is crazy.
Wow.
So he sets up in far west Missouri, but tensions turned violent with the Missourians again, and the Missouri governor Lilburn Boggs ordered that Mormons be, quote, exterminated or driven from the state.
It's kind of crazy.
Known as the Mormon Extermination Order, which was in effect, I believe, in Missouri until like 1970s.
Yeah, that's until pretty recently, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, they kind of forgot about it.
Yeah,
up till that point. So that happened. Smith was then detained in Missouri, but then broke out of jail and fled to Illinois. So him and a bunch of his apostles got, arrested, but then they broke out of jail and ran. Some would say, well, he didn't break out as much as he was let out by the state because the state didn't really like the press. They weren't exactly huge fans of, detaining this, what could only be described as mentally disturbed moron. But whether it was for optics or because he actually broke out, he broke out of jail and fled to Nauvoo, Illinois in April of 1839. So that was their new home base. Nauvoo was not an actual place at this time, though. In December of 1840, Illinois granted their town of Nauvoo a charter, which Joseph Smith had built up by himself. They granted him a charter which allowed them to have an independent militia, a city council, and a municipal court. What? They let him have his own army?
Wow. How did he, bro?
Like,
this man had to have a silver tongue. I mean, how did he keep getting these opportunities?
Who knows?
How did he? I mean, I get it.
I think
like news doesn't travel nearly as fast back then. I get that, but like,
I think what probably happened is they saw what Missouri was doing, and they were like, these people can't be that bad. They should be able to protect themselves. So, they can have their own organized militia and all that. But it gets much worse, yes. It was referred to as the Nauvoo Legion.
Common Illinois L. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, and this was while Abraham Lincoln was like part of their, I think it was part of their Senate at the time. Abraham Lincoln's first L, apparently. Anyways, other than being born in Illinois. So Nauvoo at that point was beginning to grow very rapidly. This is where things get terrible. Like, Andrew, things get so much worse.
Well, I mean, you didn't have to even say that, because of course this is when things get worse. This is the moment. If all you told me was just, yeah, he got a section of land where he got political power, he had his own army, and he was able to have his own court and jurisdiction. Of course, this is when it gets worse. This is when it gets bad in Islam. This is like, it was already not great, but in Islam, as soon as Muhammad gets his full, power instilled, he gets his army, he gets his first town. Yeah, it got a lot worse, because then he could do whatever he wanted. So yeah, lay it on me. I'm ready.
So Nauvoo was growing rapidly at this point. And it was here that Smith began to teach polygamy.
Of course.
Now, Joseph had been in a plural relationship before. We didn't talk about it because I wanted to save it till this point. But he had been in a plural relationship with a girl named Fanny Alger, alongside his wife, Emma Smith. Now, whether or not he was actually married to Alger is up for debate. But I think it would be significantly more awkward if he wasn't married to her, considering what they did. Alger was a maid. Yes, girl. She was a maid in Smith's house. It's believed that she was between the ages of 16 and 18 at that time. So nothing like bad. I'm not like, because at that time it was in 1835 that it was around the time of 1835 that this whole relationship thing happened. So he would have been like in his late 20s. So like, is it weird, be 10 years older? Yeah. But I mean, it's not as, I wouldn't say that that's like Muhammad and Aisha weird. So I didn't really think a whole lot of it.
It's sad when that's the standard.
For sure. Yeah. That is pretty sad.
50 some odd with a 6-year-old, but yes. And I'm getting there. Why do you continue to jump the gun? I won't put it on the screen, because
must you always do this? But no. So he, he had this affair. Whether or not he was married is debated, but she was a maid in Smith's house. I'm assuming, he caught a glimpse of her here and there walking around the house. He kind of liked what he saw, but eventually that that relationship was found out by Emma Smith. She didn't know about it, right? Joseph kind of married Fanny on the DL. Yeah,
so not,
and then
exactly polygamy, more like just cheating, unless this is where the revelation comes in.
Well, no, he was married to her, so to him it was a plural marriage, right? So you know, it wasn't. I mean, it was cheating by everyone else's standard, but it was polygamy, right, to him. And Mormons will tell you that this was the first instance of polygamy, and Joseph Smith at the very least. That relationship was found out by Emma when she found them in the barn in a compromising position. So very interesting happenstance there. She then forced Fanny Alger to leave and never saw her again. Fun fact, did you know that Fanny Alger was post-mortem sealed in marriage to Joseph Smith again by the Mormon Church? I need to look this up because I remember reading it and I was like, I'm going to look that up, and then I never did. Was Fanny Alger?
Well, you know, according to Kabbalah, so actually, Joseph's first wife is in the wrong. Okay. Because
yes, Fanny Alger. Okay, hang on. Sorry, go ahead.
Joseph had found his soulmate in Fanny, and the whole point in Kabbalah, the point of the life, is to be reunited with your pre-existent soul half. And so you need, if he knew that was his soulmate, it is actually the wife's responsibility to agree to the divorce so that he could marry her. But he wanted to keep her, obviously, and have his soulmate. So really, she was in the wrong for not going with it. You know, that's just her. You know.
Yeah.
So the Mormon Church was on the right to reunify them. That's just that common Mormon W. Honestly, I'm sorry,
dude. You gotta stop. You and Emmaus have to stop. Good night. So yes, Fanny Alger was posthumously sealed to Joseph Smith in the Salt Lake Temple on April 4th, 1899, while their relationship in the mid-1830s is considered by many historians to be his earliest plural marriage. Some researchers suggest it may have originally been an adoptive or sealing relationship. So, like, decades after they both died, here comes the Mormon Church, just be like, sealed. Anyways, so here comes, weird cult. Anyways, here we go. When confronted, this is another good part. When confronted about the affair by his scribe, Oliver Cowdery, what do you think happened?
He did exactly what Muhammad did when he was caught with Zayd's wife. He said, "Don't worry, bro, it's chill. God said I could do that." So,
nah, he just had him excommunicated.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's not as fun.
No, but it is funny considering that Oliver was like his main scribe.
Yeah,
when he was translating.
That was the guy.
So he's like, "Hey, man, I don't think you should be having this other girl." And Joseph was like, "Get out of here." Anyways, so he did. Now, what's interesting is that you can find this information on any Mormon website. And it's so weird to me that they like so proudly like proclaim this, but it literally, like, they'll all tell you that it wasn't taught to anybody. It wasn't just taught to anybody at the beginning, right? He slowly introduced polygamy to select members of the church beginning in 1840, with his first polygamous marriage in Nauvoo occurring in 1841. So he reserved this for his friends. You're a man. Get him out of here.
Chad, get this guy out of here.
he literally just like he kept it from everybody. Oh, I didn't know that. So apparently all the original witnesses of the Book of Mormon were discredited either by leaving / getting kicked out of the LDS church or by contradicting the witness account. That's good. That's good. I'm glad we have that information.
It's a strong polemic.
Thank you. Yes. Now, would you mind taking a wild guess as to how many girls he married in about a year and a half? Just off the top of your head.
How many over the span of a year and a half?
About a year and a half, yeah.
Now, Chase, I know this number is going to be really bad.
30
it's gonna,
plus one.
It's gonna make me. It's gonna really gross me out, and I know it is. But I'm gonna try and lowball it to just give Joseph the benefit of the doubt that in that first year and a half, he doesn't die in a year and a half, does he?
No.
Okay, so in that first year and a half, because he could marry plenty more after that, but in a year and a half, I'm going to say 15.
Yeah, you're about right. Just over, just a little bit more than a dozen. Yeah.
Wow.
He actually, now that's the problem, right? I can't be super specific as to how many he married because the accounts do conflict, right? Like I said, it ranged from about 38 to about 49. So somewhere around in the ballpark of about a dozen.
It's crazy.
Now, not just that, but Smith actually claimed to have been threatened by an angel with destruction and or death if he did not practice polygamy. Who does that sound like?
A lot of people.
Well, Muhammad, first of all, to me, Muhammad. Because he sleeps with his slave girl, and then his wife is like, "Hey man, you can't do that," and he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And then he comes back later and he's like, "Hey, Allah actually told me that I have to do this." So, whoops. Weird religion. Anyways. Now, not only that, but he claimed to have been threatened by an angel way before he started practicing polygamy. So a lot of LDS apologists will be like, well, look, see, he didn't really want to practice polygamy. He was just going on because it was what God had for him.
Well, it's like the same people who argue on the Muslim side. They argue that the reason that there had to be polygamy was because, if there were more women and one man who had the means could support multiple women, it was protecting women actually to all be under one husband because he had the financial means to protect them. So actually, W Islam. And you're wrong if you disagree. No, that is dumb. That is a terrible argument.
And with the Kirtland Safety Society, we can definitely say that that Joseph Smith did not have the means to provide for all those women.
No, he did not.
But
I'm sure all of the children that would come from multiple women.
You would think, but Andrew, we get into that. Now, it is worth noting here that he was actually in violation of Illinois' anti-adultery and anti-bigamy laws during those marriages. Now, this is made much worse. This is made much worse by the fact that he is quoted in the Wentworth letter, which I will share my screen now. In the Wentworth letter, which, I mean, this kind of just goes against everything that we've really been talking about, right? But in the Wentworth letter, section 12 says, "We believe in being subject to kings, presidents, rulers, and magistrates in obeying, honoring, and sustaining the law." He made a little oopsie there, right? I mean, he made, he's sustaining the law except for the part that disagrees with his sexual fantasies and financial desires, right? That's the part of the law that, needs to fall by the wayside. But other than that, he's cool, right?
I mean, he's batting like 700 in terms of like, getting some things okay. And
also in Doctrines and Covenants, which is one of their holy books, not like the Bible necessarily. It's different. It's weird in Mormonism, but in Doctrines and Covenants, notice this is only in the 1835 to 1844 edition, because they actually removed this part after 1844, or after the 1844 edition had passed. It says in section 101, inasmuch as this Church of Christ has been reproached with the crime of fornication and polygamy, we declare that we believe that one man should have one wife and one woman, but one husband, except in the case of death, when either is at liberty to marry again. So, Doctrines and Covenants, official Mormon source of Doctrine and Covenants, clearly states between the years of 1835 and at least 1844 that one man, one wife, or one woman, one husband. Now, what are we to do with this when we know very clearly that he married Fanny Alger around 1835, right? What exactly are we to do with this information? Well, it gets even better.
Oh,
in Doctrines, in the Elders' Journals, in the Elders' Journal in 1838, questions and answers portion. Here we have Old Joey. Question 7th. Do the Mormons believe in having more wives than one? Answer: no, not at the same time. Written by Old Joey himself. Hang on. I think I saw. Hang on. Here, you don't think Joseph Smith was racist? Question 13. Sorry, I didn't even realize that this was in here. Question 13. Are the Mormons abolitionists? Answer: no, unless delivering the people from priestcraft and the priests from the power of Satan should be considered such, but we do not believe in setting the Negroes free. I didn't even know that was in there. Man, I'm glad I looked this up. Anyways, Mormons do not believe in setting the Negroes free.
No, yeah, So when he was campaigning to be president, it said that he campaigned on the idea of abolition.
Not here.
No, I mean, yeah. Hold on. You keep doing your thing. I'm just side stuff.
It gets even better. In August 1842, Parley P. Pratt, who is one of their most trusted men. Where is this quote at? Where is this quote at for the information? Here, let me look this up real quick for the information. Aha, here we go. Parley P. Pratt, who was a very highly regarded Mormon leader at the time, he said in August of 1842, share this tab. But for the information of those who may be assailed by those foolish tales about the two wives, we would say that no such principle ever existed among the Latter-day Saints and never will. This is well known to all who are acquainted with our books and actions. The Book of Mormon, Doctrine and Covenants, and also all our periodicals are very strict and explicit on that subject, indeed far more so than the Bible.
Okay.
By Parley P. Pratt and T. Ward. You're not allowed to have multiple wives, and this principle never existed among the Latter-day Saints and never will. Andrew, just to clear up some of my doubts, did that principle ever end up in the Latter-day Saints?
You know, it appears like it to me. However, could be that Joseph was just a special noodle.
Well,
and he got something that no one else did. And it's not permitted for everybody else. However, the problem is, as far as I'm aware, Mormonism today does allow for polygamy.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it does.
So not quite sure. So I mean, they just believe in the development of doctrine. I mean, so I'm not sure what your beef is.
My beef is that it said never will.
I mean, what is a word?
What is a word?
Yeah, what is it? What is the?
But Chase, do you understand Arabic?
Yeah. You don't even understand Reformed Egyptian, so I'm not even sure why you think that you could even begin to comprehend.
It's crazy. Let me go get my seer stone. Anyways,
I think it's really sad that he wasn't still using the seer stones while he was over in other states. Like, think about the treasure he could have found.
It depends on what the meaning of is. Anyways, yeah. Another quote about polygamy. I forgot how many I put in there. So in Times and Seasons, wait. Oh, yeah. Well, all right. I don't have this pulled up, but in Times and Seasons, you can find the same quote from the Doctrines and Covenants, where it says, "Inasmuch as the church has been reproached with the crime of fornication and polygamy," so it's the same. It's the same one. Yeah, we have given the above rule of marriage as the only one practiced in the church. Now, this is really funny, and this is the part that's really this is the part to me that's super damaging. So these plural marriages were all kept secret from Emma Smith. All of them. Now, did she not know about them? No, she definitely knew about at least some of them. But she only ever heard about bits and pieces. She never formally was revealed by Joseph this wonderful truth of polygamy. Now, Andrew. Joseph, in 1843, received revelation. I have received a revelation. In 1843, in the forms of Doctrines and Covenants, section 132, and if you wouldn't mind directing with me your attention to the screen, in Doctrines and Covenants 132, let's just go ahead and read a couple passages out of here. Old Doctrines and Covenants. Here we go. "Verily, thus saith the Lord unto you, my servant Joseph, that inasmuch as you have inquired of my hand to know and understand wherein I, the Lord, justified my servants Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, also as also Moses, David, and Solomon, as touching the principle and doctrine of their having many wives and concubines. Behold, and lo, I am the Lord thy God, and will answer thee as touching this matter. Therefore, prepare thy heart to receive and obey the instructions which I am about to give unto you. For all those who have this law revealed unto them must obey the same. For behold, I reveal unto you a new and an everlasting covenant, and if ye abide not that covenant, then are ye damned, for no one can reject this covenant and be permitted to enter into my glory. For all who will have a blessing at my hands shall abide the law, which was appointed for that blessing, and the conditions thereof, as were instituted from before the foundation of the world. And as pertaining to the new and everlasting covenant, it was instituted for the fullness of my glory, and he that receiveth a fullness thereof must and shall abide the law, or he shall be damned, saith the Lord God. Let's continue in the same section, scrolling down to verse 34. What is this law? What is this covenant that he is speaking of? God commanded Abraham, and Sarah gave Hagar to Abraham to wife. And why did she do it? Because this was the law. And from Hagar sprang many people. This, therefore, was fulfilling, among other things, the promises. So God commanded Abraham to take Hagar.
Yeah, that's definitely how that went in the Bible.
Verse 35, was Abraham therefore under condemnation? Verily I say unto you, nay, for I the Lord commanded it. Abraham was commanded to offer his son Isaac. Nevertheless, it was written, thou shalt not kill. Abraham, however, did not refuse, and it was accounted to him for righteousness. Abraham received concubines, and they bore him children, and it was accounted unto him for righteousness, because they were given unto him, and he abode in my law, as Isaac also, and Jacob did none other things than that which they were commanded. And because they did none other things than that which they were commanded, they have entered into their exaltation according to the promises, and sit upon thrones, and are not angels, but are gods.
Hold up. Whoa, wait.
So obviously it was very common at that time to believe that, you died and you became an angel, but he's saying they're not angels, they are gods.
So is this the beginning of when he starts seeing?
I think he already kind of instituted a little bit of it, but this is kind of where things start to take a really big turn.
I mean, so number one, if you're keeping up, this is not what the Bible teaches.
Of course.
So this is significantly wrong. That God was not happy that Abraham slept with Hagar. He was not happy that Sarah convinced him to do this, because that was not the plan, and that's not what God wanted him to do. He had a plan for Abraham and Sarah, and they went through a human route to try and solve the issue because they weren't willing to just wait on God. So this doctrine and covenants, I feel like I'm locking in now. I'm getting serious, but that's the severity of what's being said here. He's straight up lying about the scriptures. That's not what the scriptures say. And he's using a lie of the scriptures to justify this demonic belief that we should not only allow polygamy, but that we should celebrate polygamy, and it's something that we should do, and that it is God-given. Not only, as Chase just proved, it goes against their own stances from earlier, but he's actively lying about the scriptures to probably an illiterate people who don't know, and he's lying about it and to get them to all be on his side, that he can marry 38, 40 women.
Or 49. Let's continue. Verse 38. David also received many wives and concubines, and also Solomon and Moses my servants, as also many others of my servants from the beginning of creation until this time. and in nothing did they sin, save in those things which they did not receive of me. David's wives and concubines were given unto him of me by the hand of Nathan, my servant, and others of the prophets who had the keys of this power, and in none of these things did he sin against me, save in the case of Uriah and his wife. And therefore he hath fallen from his exaltation and received his portion, and he shall not inherit them out of the world, for I gave them unto another, saith the Lord. So here we have the idea of the eternal. We have the idea of the eternal family. Essentially, God seals you eternally to your family, and you're just going to be with them for eternity. But here God's saying that, well, Bathsheba is not David's. I gave her to another, saith the Lord. Notice, David's wives and concubines were given to him of me by the hand of Nathan. Where is this guy getting this from? This isn't in the Bible. Nathan doesn't, none of the prophets ever come just, here you go, here's your daily wife. That's not how it works.
Yeah, no, Nathan was not doing that for David. I'll say that.
Nathan, obviously right here we have, the condemnation of his sin with Bathsheba. So they would probably say that, Nathan didn't give him Bathsheba, but apparently Nathan was just giving him freaking wives.
It's because so in I hate to keep bringing up Kabbalah, but in Kabbalah they argue that Bathsheba was actually David's soulmate, and that is why God put Uriah to death, because God chose the perfect time to kill Uriah so that David could have his soulmate. And so it's just interesting how they come up with these lies and these schemes to justify the actions of the people that they uplift, right? So, instead of just acknowledging that what David did was assault and wrong, he assaulted Bathsheba and he murdered Uriah. No. David is a man of God, can't do anything wrong. Bathsheba obviously was his soulmate. And so in the same way, it's like Joseph Smith can't do anything wrong, right? So obviously he gets as many freaking wives as he wants. Yeah, he
gets as many freaking wives.
he gets all the wives. Even Nathan was giving out wives.
Yeah, apparently. And not just Nathan, but all the prophets, right? As we see here, and others of the prophets who had the keys of this power. So apparently there were other prophets who had the power to bestow wives. And I kid you not, here comes Joseph Smith, and in verse 40, I am the Lord thy God, and I gave unto thee my servant Joseph an appointment and restore all things. Ask what you will, and it shall be given to you according to my word. So
now that sounds like the Quran.
Joseph claims to be one of these prophets who had the keys of this power to get a bunch of wives here in verse 40.
So is Doctrines and Covenants, is that also all written by Joseph Smith?
I don't actually know if all of it is written by Joseph Smith, but I think at the very least a majority of it is.
Because I was going to ask, is this more like their Quran? Because the Book of Mormon, it's trying really hard to be like the Bible.
No, because in Doctrines and Covenants, it was changed. Yeah, there's new editions of it come out, but I think it's mostly relatively the same. Anyways, I'd like to read just a few more verses. We'll scroll on down to verse 61. Here we have it. The best part. Yeah, other prophets write some of the Doctrines and Covenants. It says, and again, as pertaining to the law of the priesthood, if any man espouse a virgin and desire to espouse another, and the first give her consent, and if he espouse the second, and they are virgins, and have vowed to no other man, then is he justified. He cannot commit adultery, for they are given unto him, for he cannot commit adultery with that belongeth unto him, and to no one else. So, Now it gives conditions, right? You have to be a virgin, and your first wife has to give consent. Andrew, did Emma Smith give consent?
No.
No.
Explicitly, no. She did not give consent.
In fact, well, we'll get to that here in a second. I'll continue reading. And if he have 10 virgins given unto him by this law, and if you have 10 virgins given unto him by this law, he cannot commit adultery, for they belong to him, and they are given unto him. Therefore is he justified. But if one or either of the 10 virgins, after she is espoused, shall be with another man, she has committed adultery, and shall be destroyed. For they are given unto him to multiply and replenish the earth, according to my commandment, and to fulfill the promise which was given by my Father before the foundation of the world, and for their exaltation in the eternal worlds, that they may bear the souls of men, for herein is the work of my Father continued, that he may be glorified. And again, verily, verily, I say unto you, if any man have a wife who holds the keys of this power, and he teaches unto her the law of my priesthood, as pertaining to these things, then shall she believe and administer unto him, or she shall be destroyed, saith the Lord your God. For I will destroy her, for I will magnify my name upon all those who receive and abide in my law. Therefore it shall be lawful in me, if she receive not this law, for him to receive all things whatsoever I, the Lord his God, will give unto him, because she did not believe and administer unto him according to my word. And she then becomes the transgressor, and he is exempt from the law of Sarah, who administered unto Abraham according to the law, when I commanded Abraham to take Hagar to wife.
So you become my wife, or else God's literally going to smite you.
Yeah.
If
No.
you refuse.
Well, yes. No. So what that section says is that if your wife disagrees with this law, she will be destroyed.
Oh, okay. I misunderstood. Oh, that's still bad. It's still really bad. Definitely worse. If you want a second wife and your first wife disagrees, she will be smited.
Yes.
Got it.
Now.
Got it.
I would just like to read.
Why?
I would just like to read what the Book of Mormon says on polygamy.
Excellent. Yes.
In Jacob 1, in Jacob 2, in Jacob 2, verse 24, it says, Behold, David and Solomon truly had many wives and concubines, which thing was abominable before me, saith the Lord.
No shot.
Yeah.
No shot. There is that big of a discrepancy between the Doctrines and Covenants and
Would
the Book
you
of
like
Mormon.
for me to read another verse for you? Jacob
Please.
chapter 3 and verse 5. Behold, the Lamanites your brethren, whom ye hate because of their filthiness and the cursing which hath come upon their skins, are more righteous than you, for they have not forgotten the commandment of the Lord, which was given unto our father, that they should have, save it were one wife, and concubines they should have none, and there should not be whoredoms committed among them.
Are you joking?
Would you like for me to read another?
Yeah, I mean, please.
Ether, chapter 10, or Ether, chapter 10, verse 5. Oh, sorry. Hang on. Is it 10:5? Yep, 10:5. And it came to pass that Rip Lakish did not do that which was right in the... What?
Your screen did not update.
Oh, you're right. It didn't. Share this tab instead. Boom.
Okay.
Verse 5. And it came to pass that Rip Lakish did not do that which was right in the sight of the Lord, for he did have many wives and concubines, and did lay that upon men's shoulders which was grievous to be borne. Yea, he did tax them with heavy taxes, and with the taxes he did build many spacious buildings. So, Andrew, We have 3 verses here in the Book of Mormon that are explicitly anti-polygamy. By God, by his commandment. For they have not forgotten the commandment of the Lord, which was given unto our father, that they should have one wife.
It's literally the same like as the Quran and the Hadith, and the inconsistencies between the Quran and the Hadith.
Yeah. So,
because I mean, it would make sense if Joseph formulated the entire Book of Mormon like 10 years prior, and then he gets power, gets greed, gets wealth, and then he decides, I want more. I want wives. I want multiple wives. And then he makes, this revelation from God, but that revelation actively, I think the worst one was probably either the first or second one, where it literally says, like, I find this abominable. Like, this is not acceptable for you to have.
Yeah. Jacob 2.
Because how exactly did God go in 10 years from acknowledging his old prophets and saying that that it was detestable that they had multiple wives, but then 10 years later, he hadn't changed his idea on multiple wives in 3,000 years. But man, something happened in these last 10 years, and I really think Joseph needs some more wives. Get out of here, dude. That's so ridiculous.
Now here's the funniest part. This is very funny to me. Is that so? Joseph had been hiding up till this point his wives from Emma.
He was hiding more than
he never actually told her
about more than Fanny.
Well, he never told her about Fanny. She just found out.
So
he never actually formally told her.
So you're telling me he kept marrying women without telling her he had married these women?
Right. Which goes against Doctrines and Covenants section 132, where it says that the first wife should consent to this marriage.
So it's like my mind is breaking from the fact that this man is putting down laws that he breaks constantly.
Rules for thee, but not for me.
Yeah. Okay, continue. So
I will continue.
So she knew nothing about these other wives.
Yep. So she didn't know about these other lives. She didn't know about these other wives. You know how he tried to get her to agree with him on the multiple wife thing? This section of Doctrines and Covenants was revealed to him, and he was so much of a coward that he actually had his brother Hiram go read it to her. There are unofficial reports that she took the manuscript she was given and burned it, and was completely against it.
Common Emma Smith W.
Yeah.
Based Emma Smith, honestly. Crazy work.
But he literally was not man enough to go tell his wife that he was a cult leader who was marrying a bunch of women. So he had his brother, Hiram, go read a section of his Revelations where he is told that God would destroy the wife who doesn't allow for polygamy.
Yeah. God said, if you don't let me have all my wives, he's going to literally blow you off the face of the earth. He's going to strike you down and kill you. So you better do it. You better say it's okay.
So,
oh my God.
I mean, again, if you missed it, God literally threatens wives who do not consent to polygamy.
Oh my gosh.
Now, not only that, but
So
these
bad.
last verses, 61 through 64, indicate that the additional wives are for childbearing. Andrew, would you like to know how many children he had outside of Emma Smith?
I mean, yes, I would like to know. So at this point, are you talking full scope, all 49 wives?
Yeah, all 49. Do you know how many kids he had?
And you said, oh, well, okay, so you just said that the purpose was for childbearing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now the funny answer is if there was like none.
He never had any kids with his plural wives. I'm being dead serious. Not a single kid with any of his plural wives.
That's actually.
So Mormon apologists will cite this.
Do you think it was from the lack of trying? Or do you think he was actively, maliciously not trying to have kids?
I think he was actively trying to avoid having kids. Okay. I think he probably definitely had sex with all of them.
Oh, absolutely. No, that's, yeah. I'm just saying, like, is there a chance he was like infertile?
Well, no, because he had other kids with Emma.
So he only ever had children with Emma?
Correct.
And you're going to tell me that he did not get a single one of these other women pregnant?
Not a one.
Did any of them happen to strangely disappear?
Oh, well, no. I didn't look into that. But no, he never.
I'm not accusing the man of anything.
No, he never.
I'm not here accusing.
I think what he did was he probably just really didn't want any more kids because he just didn't think that it was great to have a bunch more financial burdens on him. So he just kind of, hit it and quit it type deal, right? Did not want.
So really, he learned from Muhammad's mistake, because he knew, if I die and I have a bunch of kids, my cult will split, and one group will become, they'll think that the heir apparent of me has to come through my family line, so they'll split off.
Notice Muhammad's heir apparent wasn't his son.
No,
Ali was his nephew. I think. Yeah. So, anyways, yeah, I'm being dead serious. You can look it up. Did Joseph Smith?
I mean, I believe you. It's just crazy to think that he had 49 wives. I mean,
so Joseph had. Hang on. Yes, former NBA player Joe Smith. Not who I'm talking about.
No. Wrong J. Smith.
Yes, Joseph Smith Jr., founder of the LDS, had 9 biological children with his wife, Emma Hale, though only 4 survived to adulthood. While he taught and practiced plural marriage, there are no confirmed children from his other wives. And DNA evidence has ruled out many rumored descendants. So he didn't even fulfill God's command.
He did. Yeah, he didn't. I just don't understand. I don't understand how can you sit here and say that this man is a prophet of God when he actively, aggressively, you could say, lies and does not follow the rules he sets. He is actively setting rules and saying that God commands this, and then is going against it constantly. It's already terrible that he lied about what the scriptures say, because at that point, I actually wonder how many. Like, that one's just crazy to me. How many Mormons have actually been challenged on that position?
Polygamy?
Doctrines and Covenants. Well, specifically the position in Doctrines and Covenants where it straight up lies about that story with Hagar, because that is defeating. That is 100% Mormon defeating. You cannot get past that. If this is from the mouth of Joseph Smith, and he is claiming God told him that he approved of what was happening, which goes against your own book, your religion is refuted. It's over. Joseph Smith is a fraud.
Yeah.
I'm sure people have like used that in debate against Mormons, because there's no way that is, in my opinion, you have found the best way to defeat Mormonism is just to point out that there is a major discrepancy between the two books, but also they have to take the same stance that Muslims do, that the Bible has been corrupted. Because the only way that they could argue that the story about Hagar isn't wrong is if our Bible is corrupted.
Yeah, the only way they'd be able to get out of what I'm saying is they could say, well, God's, morals change. Is that right?
How does that happen? I definitely don't think that's a good answer.
I thought morality flowed from God, right? Like, how can things just switch up like that? My show.
So I'm, again, I don't want to hark on this too much. I'm just saying, I think this is like definitively, it's at least for me, this is like where I would go from now on, is to point them to this moment and say, do you believe that our scriptures are corrupted, or do you believe Joseph Smith lied? Because you have one, those are the only options.
Well, even if our scriptures are corrupted, all I have to point you to is the book of Jacob and then Doctrines and Covenants sections 132.
I mean, yes, that alone should be enough. But if you're just trying to say that Joseph Smith could not have been a prophet of God, he actively lies about what the scriptures say. So how can you justify it? How can you justify that he knew that he was an actual prophet if he is lying about what the Bible says?
Notice another thing. If you go back and read verse 63, it says, but if one or either of the 10 virgins after she is espoused shall be with another man, she has committed adultery and shall be destroyed. Not only that, but where's another, there was another part of that section where he says, where he said that they should be virgins, right? That they should be virgins. Would you like to know how many of Joseph Smith's wives were already married?
Oh, I would assume the vast majority of them that he took from other men.
Anywhere from 11 to 14.
Yeah.
So
I guess not the vast majority, but
that was the vast majority.
That's not surprising.
Not surprising at all.
That is like the typical cult leader behavior, is that you just marry, you literally do that because you look at these other men, you're like, oh, his wife's attractive. That's my wife now. Crazy. Yep.
Let's read.
God said so sorry.
Let's read Times and Seasons, Volume 5. Very quickly. I don't remember when this was released. I think I can probably find it.
A friend of mine is asking, didn't he also have a few mother daughter pairs?
Yeah, February 1844. Also, maybe I didn't surprising. Look. So here we have Times and Seasons.
But a mother wouldn't be a virgin.
Right.
So he's also breaking that. But anyway.
City of Nauvoo, Thursday, February 1st, 1844. Notice, as we have lately been credibly informed that an elder of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints by the name of Hiram Brown has been preaching polygamy and other false and corrupt doctrines in the county of Lapeer, state of Michigan, this is to notify him and the church in general that he has been cut off from the church for his iniquity, and he is further notified to appear at the special conference on the 6th of April next year to make an answer, or of April next, to make answer to these charges. Joseph Smith. 1844. This is very shortly before Joseph died. Up till his last moments, condemning polygamy. Like what do you do with this information?
So Joseph Smith is condemning his brother.
No, not his brother. This is Hiram Brown.
Hiram Brown.
Hiram
I'm sorry.
Smith. Yeah.
I'm sorry. So he's condemning Hiram Brown for doing what he's already doing?
Oh, yeah. And what he's teaching. Now, he's not teaching it openly necessarily at the moment. Mashallah. Now, oddly enough, after in 1879, so this is long after Joseph died, but in 1879, Emma Smith, in an interview she did with her son Joseph III, she denied that Joseph ever practiced polygamy.
Of course.
She even went so far as to place the blame for the Mormon doctrine of polygamy on Brigham Young. So she was like, Joe, Joe, he never practiced no polygamy. That was all that Brigham Young man.
I mean, she didn't even know. He hid all his wives from her.
Also, Joseph Smith in Nauvoo began teaching baptism for the dead. Now, that is a wild practice that I did not really want to get into, but that's, historically, that's where he also started teaching that. And Andrew, you may ask, well, what other things was Joseph up to while he was in Nauvoo? Are you ready? Oh, we got some more to go through. Here we have the Nauvoo Expositor. Kaboom, kabam, kabalow. Now, I know it's pretty difficult to read.
Oh.
And that's fine. I will be zooming in. Now, the Nauvoo Expositor, for those who are uninformed, for those of you unlearned ones, it was a newspaper, a Reformed Mormon newspaper, which was dedicated to exposing the horrific nature of the priesthood of the LDS Church. It was founded and funded and written entirely by former LDS members turned Reformed Mormons. The Nauvoo Expositor. No, the Nauvoo Expositor.
When you say Reformed Mormons, are you saying like as in they're no longer Mormon?
No. They're still, they still consider themselves Mormons. Like they believe in the Book of Mormon, the Pearl of Great Price. Like they believe in
there's a
the
Reformed
books.
Mormon church?
Oh, dude. Yeah. The Reformed Mormons actually own most of the land in Independence, Missouri. I don't know if it's most of the land, but they own like around where Joseph Smith was at. They own a lot of that. The Reformed Mormons do. So here we have in the Nauvoo Expositor. I think it's over here. Yeah, right over here. This is it's not
a day that I learned I was a Mormon casual. I really I didn't know.
Yeah. So here we have blah 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 blah. Damnable. Yes. All right, here it is. So, just to prove that this is not some malicious Mormon attacking newspaper, it says, we have called upon him, i.e. Joseph Smith, to repent, and as soon as he showed fruits meet for repentance, we stood ready to seize him by the hand of fellowship and throw around him the mantle of protection, for it is the salvation of souls we desire, and not our own aggrandizement. So, here we have...
Imagine.
Here we have these fellows who are apparently well-intentioned, and yeah, Emmaus is right. These guys got fed up with them meeting with all their wives, so they started publishing their secrets.
Imagine imagine reformed Muslims. Could you imagine? Could you imagine?
That's like what Sufis are.
Well, like, but in the time of Muhammad, imagine a group. He would have just had them all killed. I mean, that wouldn't have even been an attempt.
Here,
Joseph was just born in the wrong place. If he wasn't in America,
Salafi, I don't remember. Anyways, here we have quite possibly the most gross. Yeah. Anyways, here let's read. We're starting up here at it is a notorious fact that many females in foreign climes, i.e., from foreign countries, and in countries to us unknown, foreign climes as in other regions of the United States, and countries to us unknown, even in the most distant regions of the Eastern Hemisphere, have been induced by the sound of the gospel to forsake friends and embark upon a voyage across waters that lie stretched over the greater portion of the globe, as they supposed to glorify God, that they might thereby stand acquitted in the great day of God Almighty. But what is taught them on their arrival at this place? They are visited by some of the strikers, for we know not what else to call them. They're like the Mormon, I believe it's the apostles and stuff, and are requested to hold on and be faithful, for there are great blessings awaiting the righteousness, and that God has great mysteries in store for them who love the Lord and cling to brother Joseph. They are also notified that brother Joseph will see them soon and reveal the mysteries of heaven to their full understanding, which seldom fails to inspire them with new confidence in the prophet, as well as a great anxiety to know what God has laid up in store for them. In return for the great sacrifice of father and mother, of gold and silver, which they gladly left far behind, that they might be gathered into the fold and numbered among the chosen of God, they are visited again. And what is the result? They are requested to meet brother Joseph or some of the 12 at some insulated point, or at some particularly described place on the bank of the Mississippi, or at some room which wears upon its front positively no admittance. The harmless, inoffensive, and unsuspecting creatures are so devoted to the prophet and the cause of Jesus Christ that they do not dream of the deep-laid and fatal scheme which prostrates death itself desirable. But they meet him, expecting to receive through him a blessing and learn the will of the Lord concerning them, and what awaits the faithful follower of Joseph and the apostle and prophet of God, when in the stead thereof they are told, after having been sworn in one of the most solemn manners to never divulge what is revealed to them, with a penalty of death attached, that God Almighty has revealed it to him, that she should be his, i.e., Joseph's, spiritual wife. For it was right anciently, and God will tolerate it again. But we must keep those pleasures and blessings from the world, for until there is a change in the government, we will endanger ourselves by practicing it. But we can enjoy the blessings of Jacob, David, and others, as well as to be deprived of them if we do not expose ourselves to the law of the land. She is thunderstruck, faints, recovers, and refuses. The prophet damns her if she rejects. She thinks of the great sacrifice and of the many thousand miles she has traveled over sea and land, that she might save her soul from pending ruin, and replies, God's will be done, and not mine. The prophet and his devotees in this way are gratified.
wow. So straight up on some Harvey Weinstein type stuff. That's come meet me in the middle of nowhere in a place where nobody can see us or hear us, and let me reveal the secrets of God to you. That you're actually supposed to be my spiritual wife. what do it that's and because it's like it's spiritual, it's still like God recognizes it. So like we can still have sex,
That's the idea.
And
not only that, but I think it's interesting because he says we can enjoy David, what is it? David and Jacob's blessing or whatever like that. They definitely, the blessings of Jacob, David, and others, they definitely had sex with all their wives. So yeah, I really just, I have a hard time understanding. I mean, but it's very sad. Now, I'd like you all to pause for a moment and just imagine leaving your house, your family, going overseas because you're so convinced of this gospel, and then finding out that it's run by some sleazebag who just wants to marry you. And then you're like, well, what do I even have left? Like, and this was the case for some of these foreign women. They'd come over, and then Joseph Smith would be like, you have to marry me or else you're damned by God.
I mean, it's absolutely it's an abuse of power. It is.
That's putting it nicely.
I mean, yeah, it's absolutely like it's disgusting behavior.
Yeah, it just is violating women left and right.
Yeah, it's assault. I mean, it's grape. If we're because we can't but can't say certain things without getting the TikTok or the YouTube hammer ban. But that like it's straight up like evil. I mean, this is essentially it is what Harvey Weinstein did. I know I said that like jokingly, but that was literally what he did. Is he would have women come up to his hotel room or his apartment. He'd meet a woman in a hotel room, and for them to get a role or in a movie he was doing, they would do special favors for him. It is the same. That's the same thing. I'm sorry, prophets of God maybe I'm just old fashioned and think prophets of God shouldn't be moving like this, but I don't know. Weinstein, not Epstein. Weinstein was the first major Hollywood producer to be exposed for the sex crimes that he was committing on women. And he's been in jail for that for quite some time now.
Where's it at? Where's that part in my notes?
The Epstein stuff was significantly worse than the Weinstein stuff, but that doesn't take away from what Harvey Weinstein was doing.
Yep, here it is. All right, next passage. It says here, quote, on Monday, the 15th of April, Brother Artie Foster had a notice served on him to appear before the High Council on Saturday following the 20th and answer to charges preferred against him by Joseph, I guess proffered. On Saturday, while Mr. Foster was preparing to take his witnesses, 41 in number, to the council room, that he might make good his charges against Joseph, President Marks notified him that the trial had been on Thursday evening before the 15th, and that he was cut off from the church, and that the same council cut off the brother-in-law's sister-law and Brother Smith, and all without their knowledge. So here we have just some more tomfoolery, right? Joseph Smith is just excommunicating people, not giving them fair say, not giving them a fair trial.
That's what Cyril did, or to Nestorius. Nestorius didn't get a fair trial.
Okay, yeah, here it goes. Where's this part at? Control F.
Dude, this is, I mean, you were right. This is bad.
I have to look up what the definition of this word is. Being harmful. Okay. All right. Let's read that with this in mind. All right. So they list a bunch of resolutions that they want done. So things that they would like resolved. It says resolved fourth, that the hostile spirit and conduct manifested by Joseph Smith and many of his associates toward Missouri and others inimical to his purposes are decidedly at variance with the true spirit of Christianity and should not be encouraged by any people, much less by those professing to be the ministers of the gospel of peace. So here we have a firsthand witness who states that Joseph Smith manifested a hostile spirit towards Missouri and anyone else who didn't like what he wanted to do. So he was hostile towards Missouri. It wasn't, make no mistake, this guy did not like those people. He wanted what he wanted, and he wanted it then. It's like, what was that video from National Treasure? He's like, all right, they do not call me Common Raw the Trustworthy for nothing. He's like, they didn't call me Common Raw the Trustworthy. No. They called me Common Raw the Bloodthirsty.
the Night at the Museum.
Yeah, Night at the Museum. He's like, yeah, anyways, who kills? Anyways, yeah. Yes. I mean, there's a ton of things in here that are pretty damning. Let's read something else. Oh, this one's really bad. Enabling them to sell. Control F. Enabling. Yep, here we go. So, here is another decidedly slimy thing that Joseph Smith was doing and probably had done for a long time. Resolved ninth, that we consider the gathering in haste and by sacrifice to be contrary to the will of God, and that it has been taught by Joseph Smith and others for the purpose of enabling them to sell property at most exorbitant prices, not regarding the welfare of the church, but through their covetousness, reducing those who had the means to give employment to the poor to the necessity of seeking labor for themselves, and thus the wealth which is brought into the place is swallowed up by the one great throat, from whence there is no return, which, if it had been economically dispersed amongst the whole, would have been rendered all comfortable. So Joseph Smith was using his church hammer to force people to buy property from him for the purpose of enabling them to sell property at exorbitant prices.
Yeah. I mean, why not? I mean, all in all, that's like not one of the worst things he's done. You know,
it gets worse.
Seems tame in comparison to the last thing they revealed. So
here we go. Resolved sixth. Sorry. We should take care of. No, not that one. Where's this one? There it is. Another first-hand account. That notwithstanding our extensive acquaintance with the financial affairs of the church, we do not know of any property which in reality belongs to the church. So they're saying that actually the church doesn't really own anything except the temple. I'm assuming most of that is Joseph Smith's.
Right.
And we therefore consider the injunction laid upon the saints, compelling them to purchase property of the trustee in trust for the church. Now, the trustee in trust is Joseph Smith. If you go up, you can see that he is named the trustee in trust for the church. He is compelling them to purchase property of him. This is a deception practiced among them, and that we look upon the sending of special agents abroad to collect funds for the temple and other purposes as a humbug practiced upon the saints by Joseph and others to aggrandize themselves, as we do not believe that the monies and property so collected have been applied as the donors expected, but have been used for speculative purposes by Joseph to gull the saints the better on their arrival at Nauvoo by buying the lands in the vicinity. By buying the lands in the vicinity and selling them again, and selling again to them at tenfold advance. And further, that we verily believe the appropriation. Sorry, is broken up. Verily believe the appropriation said to have been subscribed by shares for the building of the Nauvoo house to have been used by Joseph Smith and Lyman White for other purposes as out of the massive stock. I've already taken the building is far from being finished even to the base. So here we have Joseph Smith buying up land in the surrounding area and then forcing converts to buy it from him at 10 times what he bought it for.
So this is the classic. I bought it on a loan. I flip it for significantly more so that I can pay off that loan.
And keep 9 times what you paid.
Yeah. And that's how you fund the church, is that you're forcing all your membership to go into debt to pay you. And so you're on top with all the money.
Now, that's all we're reading from the Nauvoo Expositor, but I highly recommend every one of you go. I read through the entire thing. It is a doozy. That was most of the highlights that I could find that I thought were particularly damning. But again, it's not like they're trying to be like mean, and they just want their church back, right? And you know, the church is heretical and stupid, but I mean, can you blame them? Anyways, that's all we'll be reading from there. Now,
I mean, the well intentions of people who were deceived,
right?
You know, they believe that this is truly the word of God. But what's crazy is that they can acknowledge that Joseph Smith, who got them this, has fallen into essentially a power trip. I mean, that he is complete. I don't want to say that they would. I don't know if they would say it straight up, say he committed apostasy, but they at this point are acknowledging he's deceiving people,
right?
And so, I mean, the only way you can rationalize that somebody would still follow a religion brought to you by the individual who you know is in the wrong now, the only reason is if you don't think it depends on him, right? Like you think that God could give the initial revelation, and then the guy who revealed it could fall away completely and just go into, you know, changing everything and tricking his congregation and deceiving people. But like, it breaks my heart they couldn't take the next step forward and just say, oh, this whole thing is bogus. You know, like we should find a more traditional form of Christianity because this is not true.
And a lot of Mormons did, right? They left.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, so. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they believed that Joseph Smith was a prophet. Andrew, you're pretty blurry. I don't know if that's maybe just me.
No, you're good. Sometimes my camera goes out of focus for some reason.
It's all good. By this time, it was very clear that Smith. By this time, 1843 to 1844, it was very clear that Smith was consolidating power for himself and declaring himself the mayor of Nauvoo, having direct control of the LDS Church, and being head of the Nauvoo Legion. If that wasn't enough, Smith also ran for president in 1844. Just 3 days after the publish of its first and only issue, the Nauvoo Expositor was destroyed by the Nauvoo Legion after having been declared a public nuisance by the council.
A public nuisance.
Andrew, is it legal to violate the freedom of speech? No. Andrew, it's not legal to do that. So he was in violation of the First Amendment. Now, just for context, he was the one who mobilized the Nauvoo Legion to destroy the Nauvoo expositor. Smith was subsequently charged with inciting a riot, and he submitted himself to arrest in Nauvoo. And after a Nauvoo court hearing, he was let out on bail. What's wrong?
I mean, it's no, there's nothing wrong with having your court hearing in your own town that you run,
control,
and you control the legal system in your own court.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. You're not guilty of a crime, Mr. Mayor.
And I mean, to be fair, we can only imagine how much his bail was after selling shares of his company for 26.25 cents. But I digress. This understandably enraged many Illinois settlers because he was in violation of so many Illinois laws. And fearing violence, Smith declared martial law in Nauvoo and mobilized the Legion to protect himself. He literally mobilized his army to protect himself.
I mean, it's so crazy to me because I guess I can understand how a cult like this can come to power in the 1800s. I understand that we are still in an era where literacy is low. We're still in an era where the Bible is mass printed, but it's not always available to,
or even readable,
or readable.
Some people didn't know how to read.
Right. So you're struggling with literacy rates. And so, I mean, that's how he could get away. And again, going back to like why I think that issue between the Book of Mormon and the Doctrines and Covenants is so scandalous, because that is something that they obviously would have let slide back then. They would not have fact checked him on that back then.
Right.
But we can now.
Jack Gray is right. The literacy rate wasn't that low, but still, it wasn't what we would expect to see today. And even today, there are millions of Mormons.
Well, so okay, yes, Jack, my question isn't about the national literacy rates. I'm questioning, was the Nauvoo literacy rates high? Or sure were they kept a bit in the dark so that they could not challenge Joseph on what he was claiming?
Yeah, that I don't know. I don't know about the education there. I didn't really look into that. So now, you may be wondering, well, Chase, how did he mobilize the Legion? Essentially what he did was he just, he made them all suit up, had them grab their weapons and stand around the town, just making sure that nobody got in. Now, this alarmed, understandably, the Illinois state governor and its governor, Thomas Ford. This alarmed the state government and its governor, Thomas Ford, then demanded that Smith stand trial in Carthage, Illinois, on charges of riot and now treason because he had mobilized his legion. Because you can't do that, right? You're not allowed to just mobilize your own army to take out people in your area who hadn't actually done anything to you. Smith initially agreed, but you guessed it, then ran away. He fled across the Mississippi River, but then, he had a change of heart and decided to come back. Now, my theory as to why he came back is because he was called a coward, but I think that got to him. He was like, well, I'm a religious leader. If I really did anything wrong, God's going to vindicate me and all that stuff. And people were like, yeah, man, like if you're a religious leader, then why do you care? So he then comes back and stands trial. Well, he doesn't actually get to stand trial. He's jailed at the Carthage jail where he awaited trial, him and his brother Hiram. But then they were both, I don't know if they were both then killed. We'll say that. Then they were both killed in jail. They were shot. And then, Hiram was shot. And then Joseph was also shot, but he jumped out a window tried to escape, and then he landed and then got shot again and then died. Now he wasn't exactly like super peaceful, right? He kind of grabbed a gun and started shooting back at them, which again, self-defense, I have no problem with self-defense, right? When you're a cult leader who, has been inciting riots, right? Burning presses, doing all these kinds of things, you kind of lose your right to that kind of thing. So, but that was the end of old Joey Smith. After 3 hours of talking, there we have it.
So, say again, I apologize. Was he killed by former Mormons?
I've read this before. I don't think so. I think
Okay.
it was just a mob.
Okay.
I think they were just disgruntled.
Ooh.
Armed mob. An armed mob of roughly 150 to 200 men, largely composed of local militia members and citizens in Hancock County, Illinois. While awaiting trials, while many in the mob were not former Mormons, they included disaffected former church members. Okay.
So this is interesting. Hold on. So I saw that people were trying to say that he called out to God as he was dying, but you're claiming that this is a universal Freemason call for help when he was shot. Very interesting. Almost like a last-ditch effort to try and get someone to...
He said, "Oh Lord, my God," as he fell from the window. Many researchers and historians, such as Reed C. Durham and Richard L. Bushman, argue that Joseph Smith was likely attempting to give the Masonic distress call. The full phrase is, "Oh Lord, my God, is there no help for the widow's son?"
That's crazy. Wow. I never knew that. Well, listen.
I'm not a huge fan of the Masons, I won't lie.
Listen, there's reasons to be a Freemason hater. If you're not currently a Freemason hater, I would look deeper into it.
Yeah, Freemasonry is not cool. It's not compatible with Christianity.
That's a long sentence to say before dying.
Real.
Yeah. So a little bit, but that's so interesting how modern Mormons flip that to just say like, oh, he was calling out to God. Like, how can you say that he was just faking it all or it was all made up? But it turns out, decent chance he was not calling out to God. He was trying to save his life, hoping there were some Freemasons in the group who would flip and keep him alive if he gave out the distress call.
Are you saying Freemasonry is compatible with Christianity?
Sorry, we intend to do videos on Freemasonry in the future, but I would look deeper into that. There's some pretty freaky stuff in Freemasonry. And like the fact that just straight up the Freemasons do not have to worship, don't have to worship the Christian God. They just have to worship a God. There's also stuff about the Grand Architect seems to be more like Satan. But yeah, no, we don't want to drag anything, but like there's a reason the Catholic Church and the Orthodox Church both reject Freemasonry. They both say you cannot be a member of the church if you are a Freemason.
I don't know a whole lot about Freemasonry, so I'm not gonna. Just from the things that I've heard, it's a little. It's a little like. Not occultish, but like superstitious,
I mean, I would argue there's some occultism.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, the Knights of Columbus that's a Catholic thing, isn't it?
yeah, that's a little different. That's not quite the same as the Freemasons. I think you're thinking of something different. The Freemasons as like, and that's going to derail the video but we will do a video on the Freemasons. Don't lose us yet. Sorry, we love having you here, but I'm just letting you know, like I would look deeper into the Freemasons, like the straight up traditional Freemasons, not like the Knights of Columbus, because there's some pretty sketchy stuff that they've been involved in, and like I said, you can go look. The Catholic Church and the Orthodox Church specifically say that you cannot be a member of the Freemasons and be Catholic or Orthodox. Like it is against their belief systems. If you are a practicing member of the, if you're a practicing Freemason, you cannot have communion. You cannot take the Eucharist at a Catholic or Orthodox church if they know that you're a practicing Freemason. That's something you gotta look into. That look into that.
Or more masonry.
Oh, Bucky.
I mean, I look again. I don't really know. I just, from what I understand, but again, we'll get into Freemasonry. We're gonna do so. This is part 1 on Joseph Smith. We are going to do part 2. Everybody else. So from Brigham Young all the way through the last of their prophets, which they have more. If you didn't know, they have like 7 of them. And some of the things that their apostles have said, just their developments of doctrine and all that. So, yep.
Oh, it's so fun because everybody, there were several people were mentioning, can't wait till we talk about Brigham Young.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, the guy's a total dirtbag. He was even, I think from my understanding, was even worse than Joey on the whole wife thing. But again, I'm gonna have to look into it. I think he had 55 wives, from my understanding. So rookie numbers.
Well, this was very eye-opening. I really thought that I had a decent understanding of Mormonism's history and foundations until this. This made me realize I did not know how bad it actually was.
And I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I could have made things sound a lot worse. I tried to be as like fact giving as possible, because I totally could have extrapolated like why he only paid 26 cents for his shares, why he, like wanted expansion into Europe, like all these types of things. But, I'm just going to stick to what history actually says. It's bad. It's bad. It's kind of like reading the Sirat Rasul Allah. It's bad. Right. His, whatever his name is, whoever wrote Sirat Rasulullah, the Sirah. Anyways, whatever his name is, he presented a lot of really bad stuff about Muhammad, but he thought it was good. So anyways, that's that. That's all I got, Andrew.
All I want to say, I'll close on this. If you have watched this entire video and you are currently a member of the Church of the Latter-day Saints,
I've been a shock. Thank you.
What I want to say is, does this sit right with you? You can fact check everything we said. You can go look at everything that we've put up there. Does it sit right with you that the man that God used to reveal this religion to you, that did not come around for 1800 years, and if you go to the fact that these are supposedly happening, that these events were supposedly happening in 600 BC, so add an extra 600 years onto that 1800 year revelation, that all of this comes about, and this man abuses his authority and his power to receive the goods of this world. Does that sit right with you? I had someone in a comment section on TikTok get upset with me because I quoted a hadith narrated by Aisha where she claims that the Prophet Muhammad consummated their marriage when she was 9. And he made some bogus claim about Jesus getting Mary pregnant with himself and all this stuff. And it made me so frustrated. I normally don't lash out like this, but I kind of went scorched earth on him. And one of the things that I said was, if it makes you so uncomfortable for people to call out your own Muslim sources, maybe that should give you a reason to leave Islam.
Right.
If you have to try and defend a child predator, maybe you should leave Islam.
Yeah.
If you are sitting here thinking that I have to try and defend a man who actively denied his own tenets constantly and held other people to higher standards than he held himself to, and lied on the scriptures, and literally changed God's word between the Book of Mormon and between the doctrines and covenants, maybe you should leave. If you're having to defend a man who married 49 women, claiming the purpose of multi-marriage was to have children and no children were born out of it, so he was just having fun, and he was and 14 of them were previously married, so they weren't virgins. Some possibly mothers weren't virgins, but they were supposed to be virgins. If you find yourself having to just constantly defend your prophet because he had a morally damnable life and sure looks like he was just abusing his power that he had garnered and he was a con man, maybe you should leave. If it makes you uncomfortable what Joseph Smith was doing, do not try and justify it. Follow that inclination and leave and get into an actual Christian church. Because this is not the truth. It's not. And it's the same thing. We would say the exact same thing for Islam. If you have to defend someone who is assaulting children and claiming it is the will of God, and that makes you uncomfortable, leave, flee, run away. That's all I got.
Yep. All right. Well, it is about 10 o'clock, so I think we are going to probably end it here. Like I said, next week we will be doing part 2. We will be hopefully we'll do part 2. What do you guys think? Should we do part 2 as another live stream, or we should do it as a video? Because what we're planning on doing with this one is we're doing a live stream and then we're going to edit it out into one long video on Mormon history and then some shorter ones on periods of his life. But we figured we'd also do a stream because we hadn't streamed yet. Should we just record the next one as a video, or do you think we should stream, like do the same kind of thing? Because I really did enjoy having y'all's commentary and stuff.
We also have Between Beliefs on next week. I forgot about that.
Oh, okay. Well, then, yeah, we'll probably just record.
Well, I told him originally we would talk more about theology, but we could record an episode on theology with him because he planned on doing a recorded video with us and the live streams. TikTok plan is not out. No, TikTok plan is still going. I'm trying to get to where we have to go live 3 times before we can actually do screen sharing. So some parts of what I'm trying to do, I need to do. It's really complicated because on OBS you have to do screen mirroring to get the same vertical video that's on OBS into TikTok so that it's all synced. And I can't do that because I've not gone live 3 times. So we will do some stuff through TikTok as well with trying to get Muslims in call-in and all that, but it's just taking longer than expected.
Yep.
All right. Well, we will see you all tomorrow with Chris and next week. And we hope you all have a good night.
Thank y'all. See ya.